this town with your host T. Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classics, we're setting the pace, highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud from the silver screen to the hearts we steal. Every frame we capture is the real deal. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine behind the...
Good morning, Marvel fans everywhere. Good morning, good morning. It is myself, T. Will, and my host, Jordan Burden. And yeah, we've been missing in action for a while, Jordan. So we're back this morning. And today we are doing Daredevil and X2 and kind of a combo podcast review. Jordan, how you doing, man? Jordan, you there? I can't hear you. Are you muted? I can't hear you. I think you're muted. You might have to go back out and come back in. Jordan will be joining us in a sec. Sorry, guys. StreamYard doing its thing. But hey, good morning, everybody. And what a treat we have for you today. We are talking Daredevil, released in 2003, and the movie X2, which some claim is the best of the previous series today. Jordan, you there?
Yeah, I am here. Can you hear me?
Awesome. We can hear you. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good up until my laptop just decided to bust.
Yeah, hey man, these devices they're great. They're great, but sometimes they have a mind of their own. So it's all good, man. Hey man, we've been missing in action for the past couple of weeks. So Jordan had some stuff to do. I had some stuff to do. Life, be lifing, as the young folks say. But we are back this morning with two movie presentations, and we'll do two next week, and that should put us back where we need to be as far as the schedule is concerned. Jordan, first up on the docket is Daredevil, circa 2003, with Mr. Ben Affleck. And what's her name? Is it Julie Gardner? Wait, what's her name? She
Jennifer
played
Gardner.
Elektra. You
Jennifer
said what?
Gardner.
Jennifer Gardner. That's
Yep.
it. I always loved her in Alias. I loved Alias until the last season, and they just went off the rails. But always been a fan of Jennifer Gardner. Um, really did enjoy the film, although there were some parts that just left a lot to be desired. But Jordan, let's talk about this first venture into Daredevil. Of course, Marvel would go on years and years and years later to do a Daredevil series, which some would argue is a far better piece of work than the movie. But let's just talk about initially, your first impressions on the movie Daredevil, and just kind of if you gained a little perspective, if you liked the movie more when you saw it this time, or was it pretty much the same for you when you watched it?
I mean, the soundtrack may have changed my thoughts because I think this may be one of the greatest soundtracks for any sort of superhero movie ever.
It is.
From Evanescence. I mean, you have two songs in this. Wake Me Up, and then there's another one during the funeral scene. I don't remember the name of the song, but both are so fantastic.
They're great. They're great. They are great.
And they may be too good. I noticed. I like and this might be the director or doing a great job, because I like the direction that this movie went into.
Mm-hmm.
But the script I don't like. So it's like there was a weird divide. You see, like they knew where to go with it, but the dialogue didn't match that. And
none at all.
Think that if this movie came out 10 years later, it probably would have been a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
With the CGI. I mean, CGI is general. I mean, you're trying to get Ben Affleck to do Daredevil stunts, and and to think that he played Batman like 15 years later. So, yeah, this uh, this movie went up in my ranking, but my rating for it never changed.
Yeah.
So, it jumped one movie, which is a movie that we reviewed actually. So, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Um, but yeah, I don't think. I still think there's a lot of issues with this movie between
Mm-hmm.
um just I love I love the casting. Like the behind the
Yeah.
scenes work for this movie was the best part of this movie, between the
Mm-hmm.
directing and the casting. Cuz honestly, I for that time period, getting Ben Affleck to be Daredevil, Jennifer Gardner to be Elektra, getting what's his name to be Bullseye, getting Michael Clark Duncan to be Kingpin. For my whole childhood, I thought there's no way I'm gonna get a better Kingpin than
Mm-hmm.
Michael Clark Duncan. We did get it. We
Mm-hmm.
have gotten Vincent D'Onofrio and Michael
We
Clark
did.
Duncan.
We did.
Both are fantastic Kingpins. But every time I saw Kingpin, in any sort of media, I thought Michael Clark Duncan, because he was just that intimidating, that
Yeah.
cool, that
Yeah.
I was just like, this is my Kingpin.
He was the embodiment of all things Kingpin that we see in the comics. Notice I said that we see,
Mm-hmm.
because the character, and like you say, the dialogue, if it were up to me, would be more Vincent D'Onofrio,
Yes. Oh
just
yeah.
because of Kingpin. But the spirit of Kingpin, like to me, this King, and we'll get into that, but this Kingpin is just more, for lack of a better word, evil. Just more strictly business. They did some things with the characters I did not like in pertaining to the script, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which we'll get into, but you had a few things that really went against who the characters are, in my opinion. But like I say, we'll get into that. It
Mm-hmm.
was directed by Mark Steven Johnson, produced by Arnon Milchan, Gary Foster, Avi Arad, Ben Affleck, Jennifer Gardner, Colin Farrell, Michael Clark Duncan. It was released on Valentine's Day, ironically. All the roses, Kingpin, right? It grossed 170.9 million. Runtime was 103 million. I believe the budget may have been just under 100 million. So they pretty much broke even when you look at what they took in domestically versus globally. They pretty much broke even, which is probably why there was not a sequel. Um, so let's get to the plot summary, and we'll get deeper into it. But Matt Murdock, as you know, is blinded as a child by radioactive waste. He's going to visit his father, who he thinks is working at this uh, what is it, plant or whatever, wherever he thought he was working, and he wasn't working anymore. He ended up working for the kingpin, unbeknownst to him, or for whoever the kingpin's boss was at that time. Basically, as a shakedown guy to go in, and as a henchman to go in and beat up people to collect money. But anyway, as he gets into this accident because he sees his dad beating up somebody, and just the imagery of that is too much for Matt, because Matt has an image of his dad, looks up to his dad, and he's disappointed in this moment. And so he speeds off or whatever on whatever device, vehicle, little skateboard device he has. And anyway, long and short of it, he almost hits this what do you call those vehicles that they use in construction? What do you call them? He's driving. It's like oh man, it's a forklift. Guy's driving a forklift, and Matt narrowly avoids him and ends up going into this radioactive waste, splashes and hits his eyes. Now, what I think they did a really good job, is taking the viewer through the experience of what it's like to be Daredevil, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from the moment that waste hits his eyes, It literally goes through his optic nerves and fries them. And we
Mhm.
see the lights go out, right? And then the next thing we see is we see Matt wake up and all of these senses are firing, right? So, his sense of smell, his hearing, he can hear things 15 blocks away and it's hitting him all at once and it's intimidating. And so he goes and jumps in a corner and his dad comes in and he says, I talked to the doctor and he says, I know I'm blind. And right away we see that Matt's a little kid, but even as not a little kid, but he's a kid. But even as a kid, he's very mature and he's tough because he doesn't freak out. He doesn't cry. He doesn't say, woe is me. He accepts it, at least from what we can see from this vantage point, immediately. Um, anyway, his remaining senses become superhuman. As an adult, he's a lawyer by day, vigilante by night, battling Kingpin and Bullseye while falling for Elektra. The story ends with the tragedy and Matt embracing his role as Daredevil. Now, that is a very, very high overview. We'll get into the specifics, but let's talk about that first scene, right? Um, Take me through what your first thoughts were when you first saw it versus when you saw it now, and just give me your thoughts on that first scene when Matt gets, his eyes damaged and becomes blind and essentially becomes baby Daredevil. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, when I first saw this movie, well, first off, I have this movie. Well, I have this movie on VHS, of course. So, and when you pop in the VHS, the right before the movie starts, you get Evanescence, "Wake Me Up," the whole music video. So there's that. I just wanted to point that out.
Ah,
And this, the first time I saw this, and probably since then, this movie, the I don't like the beginning of this movie. I don't like the way they set up all the characters,
mhm.
right? And it's just very generic, very comic booky. Um, and
Mhm.
but when you get into the second and third acts, that's when it's like, all right, this is better.
Mhm.
Um, but like I love I love the way they visualize like him being blind. Like
Yeah.
it is so interesting, and you see
Yeah.
the sound waves bouncing off of things to make him see other things, and
Right.
that's one. That is the all right. This is the one time you're gonna hear me say this movie outdid the show. Uh,
I think you said that before. I think
yeah,
when you and I were talking about and you may have said it in a show, but you definitely said that from that perspective that it outdid it. And you know what, Jordan, you're 100% right. Because after
mhm.
viewing this, anyway, I'll shut up. Go ahead. Sorry, not trying to cut you off.
No, I mean it's it's such a better way. Like I understand. I like the idea they had with they don't really show Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock, like his blindness very much. And the one time they really do is with I forget what her name is. She was the nurse in season one, and
Night
she's
Nurse.
pretty much, yeah, night nurse.
Yeah.
Um,
Rosario Dawson's character.
yes, Rosario Dawson.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like they showed her just like he's like it's like everything's on fire, and they show her, and it's like I'm like, oh wow, that's interesting, but it's interesting, and we don't really do anything else with that.
Yeah.
And with
Yeah.
this, it's so, especially the idea, and this is the part where I was like, the directing of this was really good, and the idea of this was really good. The part where they are on, where Jennifer Gardner and Ben Affleck, I'm just gonna call them Jennifer Gardner and Ben Affleck, are on the roof, and
Yes. The rain.
the rain,
Yeah.
and he's like, wait, I want to see your face, and
Right.
I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool. Like that's such a, if it, and this is where this part I would share with like a lot of different people who
Mhm.
like movies, because I'd be like, this is such a great idea to have.
Mhm.
Just because I mean he can't see faces, so he has to rely on different sounds and stuff. And having rain having there's different sound waves that a raindrop puts off. That's the best way he can see, is when it rains. So it's such a fantastic scene, and the way they just do his when he can see with the smoke that people will blow, and
Billowing,
he's
yeah.
yes, and it is amazing. And then the one area where I was like, all right, I think you might be over exaggerating this, is when the train goes by towards in the beginning of the film, and he's just like, oh, my head and stuff like that. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I don't like, I couldn't imagine Charlie Cox's Daredevil doing that with a train right
Yeah.
next to him.
Yeah.
That was probably the only, that was the only part where I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, I mean, I will say this. All right, we're gonna get a second. You got a second positive review over the show because it's not hard. Because I didn't like the child actor of Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock,
Yeah.
and this one I liked more.
Yeah.
It's a minor nitpick, but like it was. I even then, no. You know what? I wouldn't say it's positive because there are parts where I'm just like, I don't like this kid. I just don't like the child actors in either one of them. The playing the younger Matt Murdock. I just don't. I don't think because in Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock, the kid was like, I can't see. He's
Yeah.
like he's freaking out. Yeah, I'm sure all of us would freak out, but
Mhm.
I couldn't believe him. And with this one, like I was at first I'm like, all right, I understand this kid. Like yeah, he's really going through it. But then they get to the part in the street with the bullies, and I'm just like, all right, kid, you're not a vigilante. You're like 12 years old. Go collect
Yeah.
Pokemon cards. Go invest in Bitcoin before it becomes big.
I like what he did with the bullies. I like that scene where they're like, first off, they're scum for doing. Who's gonna pick on a blind guy? Like they're real assholes. But anyway, I like that scene. But whatever. I tell you what, I really like. I thought that the scene with he and Jennifer Garner on the rooftop was extremely romantic, and from the standpoint of and I guess it made me appreciate it too. Look, I get to see my wife's face every day. And my wife to me is probably one of the most beautiful people I've ever met. Even after 30 years, you know what I mean? There's still moments where I do stupid stuff because I'm just that engrossed and encapsulated with looking at her. She just does it for me, right? But just imagine if you could only see your girl, your wife one time, right? Or you couldn't see her every day, right? Like you know she's there, but I thought it was really cool the way they did that. I like that. I like the fact. And then I tell you what else was cool. Their first meeting where he's like, I asked you my name, and she's like, I didn't give it, and they have that little battle in the playground. I really
Oh
like that.
no! Oh no! I hated that
I
scene.
love that.
It was
I love that.
they did some sort of Mortal Kombat camera outtake, and you got both Jennifer Gardner and Ben Affleck take off their jacket, and the camera zooms out, and in fact when it happened in the rewatch, I was like, round one, fight. Like I
Oh,
was
wait a
just like,
minute. They did kind of look like that. They did. Yeah,
exactly.
especially the way they were facing the camera. I didn't think about that. You're right. You're
Oh
right.
man.
You know what? I just thought it was what a cool first date, man. I mean, you spar like who
There's
does that?
kids around too.
What a cool first date, man. I can't imagine sparring with my wife if she knew karate and I knew karate. And, hey, what's your name? I didn't give it. Round one, fight like that. That's cool, man. You know what I mean? I thought that was kind of cool. I did. I enjoyed, but it's funny that I never looked at it from the Mortal Kombat. You may have just ruined it for me because now I got to go
Yeah,
back and watch it. Now I got to
yeah,
go back and watch it and see it. But
and
anyway,
it's almost as bad. It's slightly above the corniness of Halle Berry's basketball scene in Catwoman.
I don't think anything.
Like
I don't think anything is.
I
Yeah,
put it.
anything.
They're both right next to one another for
Yeah, I
me
don't know about
because
that.
I
That,
don't like either of them.
no, that movie was pretty bad. That
Oh, it
Catwoman
was
movie
bad.
was
It was awful.
that should have never been made. And no disrespect to her, man. I love me some Halle, but that was a mistake, Halle. That was just a bad decision. But all right, man. Let's get to some character arcs. So, um, Matt wrestles with duality, lawyer versus guilt, and excuse me, lawyer versus vigilante. But he also wrestles a great deal with guilt. We got Carrie in the chat. She says, "Good morning, T. Will and Jordan. Hope you're doing well." Hey, Carrie, how you doing? Hopefully, all is well. Um, but Matt wrestles a lot with guilt in this. Um, I think they did a good job of that. And I know, look, Daredevil is just he's a tortured soul, right? Jordan, you there?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. He's a tortured soul. So I get that, but golly, he's got a lot of guilt. He's
hmm
he's walking around with um especially when he goes to beat up one of Kingpin's henchmen and there's a kid there and he like he does what he has to do. He's trying to find out some information and the kid is horrified and he's like, what, I'm the good guy. I'm the good guy. And then we see him later on the roof talking to himself like, I am the good guy. I am the, you know what I mean? And it's just, but I guess if you walk around with a devil costume, I mean, you're gonna invoke fear.
hmm
But that to me, like that, there was very much a theme of duality with lawyer versus vigilante. Um, I think the one thing about this, the other arc with Matt is part of him learning to love is being able to open up to the extent that you can, right? But
hmm
Elektra is kind of in a unique position. She also lost her mother. So they understand each other from that perspective. She's rich, he's not, but they understand loss. That's the one thing. The other is they're both very very guarded, right? So
hmm
there's an old joke that says, "How do porcupines mate?" Very carefully, right? So, and that's what I see when I see Daredevil and Elektra because they go through this feeling out of each other initially. That's what that initial jousting is. It's them feeling one out, and Matt is really attracted to that because even though he's not aggressive it as Matt, he is very aggressive as Daredevil. That's who he is. So he
hmm
loves the fact that she's like, nah, 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 nah. Initially, no, I didn't give it. Like he's attracted to that. You know what I mean? But anyway, I just thought that was an interesting piece of it. Is just him being able to kind of let down his walls, her being able to let down her walls, and them truly, um, you know, coming together. I really like that. I felt like Kingpin really didn't have much of an arc in this movie. Now, and you can tell me what you saw, but I didn't see that big of an arc, right? I mean, to me at the end of the movie, he's the same person that he was before. We really don't get and I know it's kind of hard. Like you can't get the same vantage point that you would in a series because you get to spend more time. You get more background on the character. But to me, there really wasn't that big of a character arc with Kingpin. Give me your thoughts on that because maybe you saw something I didn't see. Give me your thoughts on that.
No, you're right. And that's maybe, and that's another reason why I say if this movie was made 10 years prior, 10 years later, it would probably be better. Because as as movies have gone on, we start to create villain. Um, we try to create some sort of empathy and some sort of like relating to villains and
Right.
antagonists in film, and this is just your stereotypical mustache twirling villain
Yeah.
on paper.
Villain.
And
Yeah.
the difference is Michael Clark Duncan is such a good actor,
Mhm.
and he's so intimidating as a person in terms of his voice and his stature that he fills what this character needs at minimum.
Yes.
And there isn't a character arc. I mean, he's on the highest of highs, and then Daredevil beats him, and that's it. And that's really all. I mean, he's like, I mean, at the beginning when Matt Murdock and I was about to say Happy Hogan, John
Iron Man slip up there. It's okay.
Oh yeah. When they go and meet Kingpin for the first time, Wilson Fisk, and he says that like everybody's guilty or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up turning back on him. I mean, that's really all I can think of. Otherwise, there really isn't much substance to his character. Same thing with Bullseye. Bullseye doesn't have much. He's just more of a.
He's really a mustache twirling villain.
Yes.
He made me miss.
Yes.
Yes. How do you kill him? By putting the fear in him. He made me miss. I don't like him. Like, he's very.
He literally said, "I want a costume." he said that, and every time he says it, I bust out laughing because I'm like,
does that?
You could never pull that off in 2025.
Right.
You could never say that.
Who does that? Right. That's But as far as Elektra, I think again, her arc is similar. So she's broken, right? She comes to Matt broken. I think she's a little more broken than Matt. Not that Matt is not broken, but I think Matt has had to live in the world with his brokenness and adapt to it. Whereas Elektra, because she comes from wealth, from money, she's kind of shielded, right? But she's still got all of this brokenness, the death of her mother. It's a big deal for her. And in my opinion, in her meeting Matt, he's kind of the first to kind of really bring that out in her. And she kind of lets loose of that. But it's what I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked to have seen more of a courtship with them. I know we only got an hour and 43 minutes or whatever. It didn't seem like it went quick, but I would have liked to have seen more of their relationship developed as Matt and Elektra versus Daredevil and Elektra. If that makes sense, right? That to me was one of the things that was missing.
No, and I agree with you, because the one issue with this movie, since I was very little watching this movie, every time I've always thought this is the biggest issue with the movie for me, is they did the death of Elektra in this movie.
Yeah.
And if they did this in the sequel, I'd get it. Or even a third movie, I would get it.
Yeah.
But them doing the death of Elektra, this movie felt like the first act was the first Daredevil, and then acts 2 through 3 are a Daredevil sequel that I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like we're missing stuff. We're missing like how why specifically he dressed in this costume.
Right.
We're missing a lot of the religious elements that make Daredevil Daredevil.
Yeah.
And
Although
that's a
we
huge
see
issue.
the imagery, we see the scenery,
Yeah,
but to your point, there's no explanation. Even
exactly.
even so, the one thing that they do is they infer a lot, right? So in the scene where the priest goes to talk to Matt, and he's like, Matt, you can come and talk to me anytime you want. It kind of suggests that Matt comes here often and
Yeah.
sits on that pew and just laments on his guilt, right?
Mhm.
But to your point, there's no deep dive into it. There's not even an explanation of it. And I agree, it is complete, because if we can, if we can see a little bit more of what happened between I got my powers Matt and adult Matt, and how we got to this huge weight of guilt that's on his shoulder, it probably gives us a deeper revelation into the
Mhm.
character. Or you think, or no? Is that pretty much what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes the show so fantastic, because the way they're able to dive into some of these elements are uh, it creates another character in a sense.
Yeah.
Um, and uh, it's I mean, he doesn't have the no kill rule. Like, Daredevil should
Yeah.
always not kill. And then in this, like, we literally open up with him pushing a guy onto a train track, and he's like, that light at the end of the tunnel, that's the C train or whatever. Um, and I'm like, as great of dialogue as that is in a general sense, um, I don't like it for a Daredevil movie.
Yeah.
If Batman said that, I'd also have an issue with that.
Hmm.
Like, there are very if Punisher said that, I'd think that would be one of the best lines I've ever heard in my life.
Agreed. Agreed.
But
Agreed.
that is, I mean, we open up with that, and then he kills off Bullseye, which, like, it makes me appreciate Daredevil Born Again a lot, because there was so much culmination to him pushing Bullseye off the building. And I
Yeah.
mean, Bullseye ends up surviving that, and not this, but there's more of a culmination. And
Actually, Bullseye does survive this
I
at
mean,
the end.
yeah,
Remember?
yeah, I mean, that's true. That's true.
He
I
did
do remember
survive.
that.
And I'm gonna
Yeah.
be honest with you. Hey man, let me tell you something. Um, I love my Kim. Woe be the soul who did that. Cause I'm gonna tell you something, Jordan. I'm killing him, his mother, his dog, his mailman. It's
What
going
the dog
down.
do?
You didn't have to look. I'm just
What
okay. Maybe not
what
the
the what the
maybe not
dog
the
do?
dog. Maybe not the
That's
dog.
crazy.
Maybe not
The
the dog.
dog
But
just
everybody
living
else
his
is
life.
getting it. Everybody else is getting it. Okay, the
That's
dog. I'm just telling you, everybody else is getting it, bro.
what the
So I didn't.
dog
I didn't.
do.
I didn't. He's gonna be stuck on that the whole day. Like I can't believe you said that.
The dog, it's just
The
the
dog
dog's
did
chilling.
nothing. The dog didn't do anything to you, T. Will. You're a menace. What's wrong with you? No, but seriously, I didn't have a problem with it. Like, dude, he killed the lecturer in front of him. He had to
Mhm.
go, man. I'm sorry. He had to. It's whatever. He,
Yeah.
I don't. I don't even want to use my wife as that reference. I'm just saying I could understand. Like I could
Mhm.
even in the show, I totally understood it.
Mhm.
Because you're talking about Foggy Nelson. You're talking about oh god, well, we never did that show, but whatever. Spoiler alert. You're talking about Foggy, who's essentially his conscience, been his
Yeah.
best friend. You know what I mean? And bro, I would have absolutely thrown him off that roof two
Mhm.
times and felt nothing. But whatever. Matt's a better person than me, but that's why he has that guilt. Um, the justice versus vengeance. I mean, I see that morality in a corrupt system. I see that too. Any other themes that jump out to you that maybe we missed?
Um. See, that's the thing with movies that came out during this time frame is the themes aren't really great.
Yeah,
They're pretty stereotypical for a superhero film.
yeah,
So, um, I mean, we don't really dive into themes really until we get to pretty much Iron Man.
yeah,
Um, and we start to get when you get into that's what made the MCU so great is their themes in every single film were
yeah,
just they're so amazing. They you dive a lot deeper than just a comic book character come to life.
yeah,
And with this movie, and I mean, really, the X Men movies are. I mean, when we get to X2, there's better themes in that, and that's what made the X Men franchise really great in the early mid 2000s, and I mean, and so on. I mean, without the X Men really set the platform for the Avengers.
yeah.
But movies like this, I mean, there's a lot of eye candy, but when
Mhm.
then you taste the eye candy and it's just a peppermint. Like
Agreed. I could not agree with that statement more because I felt like I felt like this was the equivalent of going out with your dream girl and there's nothing to her. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like start trying to have a conversation and there's nothing to, and you're just like, but you,
Wow, I just had this conversation yesterday with someone. Um, yeah, I just had this conversation. I'm like, you could be dating a supermodel, and they could be just stale and boring.
yeah,
So I mean, I just had that conversation yesterday. That's so weird.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's weird because it's like, oh my God, she's so. And then when you sit down and you have a conversation, and you're like, oh, right. That's what on some level. Like I gotta admit, some of the scenes were really cool. The fight scenes I liked. The ones from Daredevil perspective, I really like that. I like the roof scene when he's describing how he wants to see her, and even him seeing her. And I like the scene where he's at the ball and he goes through the smoke billowing and the perfume smells and all of
Yes.
that. And we get a chance. Like I think they did a great job of showing you what it feels like to be Daredevil. I do. I think that was great. The
Mhm.
dialogue was just it was
Mm.
kind of like the equivalent of what do you do with the toad in the rain? Like, but that was the dialogue for the entire movie. You know what I mean? And it
Mhm.
was just like,
Yeah.
oh God. So I don't know. Let's talk about the bar fight scene. I like that specifically again from the perspective of Daredevil, what it's like, the fact that he would touch certain metal objects to feel the vibrations, to know that there were bullets coming, to duck and get out of the way. Just the way that that was again written, I
Mhm.
like that. I liked a lot of the fight scenes. um I like the fact that I like the fact that the dude who ended up killing the young lady ended up meeting his end on the I didn't feel bad for him at all. I felt like, yeah, you got what you deserve.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that scene from bar to what was it? What was it? Where did it end up? In the subway? In
Yeah.
the subway,
Subway.
right? Let's
Yep.
talk about that scene from bar to subway. Give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, I love the action in this scene, and um, maybe the one thing. See, this is where we're gonna get back to Batman and his voice, because like Christian Bale, I appreciate the way Christian Bale changes his voice when he becomes Batman versus Bruce Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
and every time Ben Affleck talked as Daredevil, I just heard Matt Murdock. Like
Yeah,
there was no change whatsoever. And you do see a slight change when Charlie Cox becomes Daredevil. There's a very it's everybody almost has that small little change. It's either a deeper voice, a more intimidating voice, and I just kept hearing Ben Affleck talk either way, normal.
let me ask you a
And
question. Do,
yeah,
do you think that is a subconscious thing that most people do because they are especially as they get deeper and deeper and they start doing this more and more. Do you think that that would be, just imagine if if superheroes were real,
Mhm.
and you've got somebody out there in this masked entity, do you think that they would just subconsciously do that as a way of disguising their real voice, or as a way of getting deeper into the superhero persona consciousness that they're embodying right now? Like, give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, I have thought about this. Like, in a real world sense, everybody should be changing their voices.
Yeah.
Some people might subconsciously be doing it and not know it. Like
Right.
that's kind and some might be like, oh, I need to change my voice, which is kind of like you look at Christian Bale's Batman as a prime example because everybody talks about his voice, but I appreciate it a lot because you shouldn't like they made fun of this in Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds, and in that, like, he had the little mask and stuff and he was changing his voice a little deeper, and then Blake Lively's character's like, Hal, and like she knew it right away, like, and I'm like like that, it was so obvious, and some people need to be more, need that change.
Yeah.
And one example with this, and we've seen this character in a million different films, with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. We have never seen him wear the mask, and he always had the same voice, but then he wore the mask for the first time, and his voice, you go back and watch it, I think his voice got a little deeper. I think, and maybe that's my mind playing tricks on me. Maybe that's what I want to hear, but
Mhm.
I heard a little bit more fierceness in his voice, a little bit more stern. And with this, it's like Ben Affleck's talking, Daredevil's talking, and there's just not really a change at all. Um, and even with another character that does this during this time frame, and maybe this is the only negative I will ever say on Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. But Spider-Man doesn't ever really change his voice. Because mainly people won't believe that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Right. Right.
That's what makes his character so great. Is nobody would believe this nerd is
Right.
Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man. Right.
Yeah, so he doesn't need to change.
He doesn't
his
have
voice.
to. He doesn't
And
have to. Right.
and all right, maybe I'm talking myself out of this, but like, I mean, yeah, it's trying to think of a blind man is going to be a vigilante. I mean, it's hard
Even
to,
Kingpin says it at
yeah.
the blind lawyer from Hell's like, that was one of the lines I did like. I thought that was funny. I thought that was an organic
Mhm.
moment. The blind lawyer from Hell's Kitchen? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Which is what anybody would say if are
Mhm.
you gotta be kidding me, right? So yeah. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, the voice was kind of weird, but the overall, the fight scene, I really love the whole fight scene. I love the way it's done. This is one of my favorite parts of the film. But then you get to the train scene, and I'm just kind of like, I didn't like how the train was making him just like, I mean, it was just, it was hurting him, his head basically, because of how loud it was, and I was just like, you're telling me this dude's never been on a subway before? Like, I've seen Matt Murdock in Daredevil
Mhm.
on a subway before,
Yeah.
and uh, it was a weird scene. Then seeing him kill the guy, I was just like, he deserves it, but this is Daredevil. Like, I the no, there's certain characters with the no kill rule.
That's don't
I
kill, right. Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Daredevil and Batman are the two that I don't believe should ever kill, because when they kill, then I feel like anybody can kill anyone.
Right. Correct. Correct. I'm gonna be honest with you though, I agree with that. There were certain rules that they broke in this, and that was one of them. The other is that, in my humble opinion, I don't think Wesley would ever betray Kingpin, ever.
Right.
I just
Oh
don't
yeah.
see that happening. I don't see, oh, well, we got a deal for you. I do. Wesley would go to the ends of the earth for Kingpin, and Kingpin would go to, like, he's his one and only friend. I
Hmm.
do not see that happening, and that to me stuck out like a sore thumb. Like, what are you doing? What do you mean we've got this on you? Wesley's going to jail because he knows Kingpin's going to get him out. He
Hmm.
knows he's probably not gonna, like, this Kingpin. He's connected all up and through the city. But aside from that, the mutual love and respect that these men have for each other, I don't see Wesley betraying it. And
Yeah.
so that to me was like, again, another party foul in that, no, Wesley wouldn't do that. And Matt Murdock wouldn't kill. Or if he does kill, there needs to be some sort of explanation, like
Yes.
maybe he's on the way to the no kill rule, and maybe, but you can't just do that and just leave that out there. You get what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
agree with that. That was a problem that I had with this. Let's talk about the motorcycle check. Well, let's just talk about Bullseye. So the one thing I did like about Bullseye, I thought that they came up with some creative ways for him to kill people. Now, he
Hmm.
was a true psychopath. True psychopath. Just didn't give a damn. He'd kill anybody. We got Miss Christie in the building this morning. Good morning, Miss Christie from Mississippi. How you doing? We are talking Daredevil this morning, Miss Christie, as well as X2. We're doing a combo. But yeah. But anyway, the scene where he's on the plane, Jordan, and this lady's just, elder woman is just talking,
Hmm.
and he flicks the he flicks the peanut and kills her. I'm like, man, you kill an old lady, like, you have no soul, dude. But I mean, Bullseye's just a psychopath, but they were very creative in the ways that they, utilized his prowess for
Hmm.
not missing anything. I really like that about it. Now, again, you talk about mustache twirling villain. This
Hmm.
guy is the prototype for it, and I'd get away with it if it weren't for you meddlesome kids. Like,
Hmm.
oh my God, he's a Scooby Doo villain. Like, that's
Hmm.
he, very poorly written, no
Yeah.
depth to him at all, no depth. Um, I did like the get up and the bullseye on the forehead. I kind of liked his overall vibe, in that, look, he's just a murderer. He's a mercenary, he's a murderer, and that's just who he is and what he does. But the way he's written is just so bubblegum Saturday
Hmm.
morning cartoon that it took away from it. Whereas in Michael Clark Duncan, I think the thing that they did real well with him is, in a lot of the poses, you see him standing and you can't see anybody but Kingpin. Like, you look at Michael Clark Duncan and he is the embodiment, the personification of all things Kingpin, right? Even in the poses, the stills, the camera sets, the way that it's done, he's Kingpin. But Bullseye is so silly, just the way he's written. It's hard to get around that. Jordan, let's talk to that, if you would. Let's speak to that.
Well, this bullseye. It's so funny. I mean, we basically got Batman and Penguin,
Yeah,
but like 20 years earlier, because Ben
yeah.
Affleck played Batman and Colin Farrell ended up playing
Penguin.
Penguin.
Yeah.
And I have not seen the Penguin show. That's another
I
show
heard it's very good. Me
I have
neither.
to actually write that down because I knew I was missing a show that I forgot to watch, and because I just finished a show that came out in like the mid 2000s. It was the first show that I'm like, I really want to watch this, but my mom didn't let me. I was like 5, 6 years old when it came out. Kyle XY. It's not a good show, but it was something. It was the idea of it. I was just like, this is so interesting. When I was younger, and I was like, I remembered it the other day, and I was just like, I'm gonna watch this show, and I did, and it was okay.
Yeah,
But I had to watch 3 seasons of that. So
yeah.
now I have to catch up on a lot of different things like the Penguin, Marvel Zombies, Eyes of Wakanda,
I saw Marvel Zombies.
Peacemaker season 2, Gen V season 2. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I need to catch up on. But
you know what you should do? You should make a spreadsheet, and because a lot of these shows I'm behind on as well.
mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, this Bullseye, Bullseye is such a cool character. Bullseye's always got a great character arc in the comics. I mean, it's very hard to screw up Bullseye. The worst you can do is in this movie, and they like making him that mustache twirling villain because there's a lot more depth to him. But his ability to turn anything into a weapon is what makes him so cool. And because another thing that if this movie came out 10 years later, that we'd probably see a much better Bullseye. And I mean, you look at the Bullseye we got in the show, and I mean, in my opinion, maybe one of the most underrated. I don't even know if he's underrated. I think a lot of people love this iteration of Bullseye. And he's just such a great character. He's written perfectly. And he's just the guy who acts as him is incredible, fantastic. And this is the base level of Bullseye where like if you just make accurate kills, make accurate throws, that's who Bullseye is. And yeah, him saying I need a costume, that was quite the choice of dialogue there.
It's almost like they were mocking themselves, and I don't know that that's what they were doing, but that's how it came across. Like they were like, we know this is ridiculous. We're just gonna add.
They did that in X-Men too, saying, "What are we? What do you think we were gonna wear yellow spandex or something?"
I got that. That was to me. That one went over a lot better than I need a because he was already goofy. He was already silly. He was like, you know what I mean. That just was like, oh god. So, but yeah, I get it, man. I very flat. You know, just the dialogue. Like again, the special effects, the fight scenes. A lot of these characters from a physical standpoint really did look the part. It's just the dialogue that just was terrible, right? But I mean, look, Jennifer Garner is Elektra. I think they did a great job on Ben Affleck, specifically his hair, and him playing the part of Matt Murdock. Because if you look at some of the iterations in the comic, he is spot on Matt Murdock. Spot on. No doubt about it. Spot on. I think they did a great job of that. That Daredevil in some iterations, not all, in some iterations, there's kind of an anime feel, right? Like that, the way that art is drawn. And they did a really good job of bringing that to life. But it's just the dialogue in a lot of these situations was just bad. The only time I really liked the dialogue was again when he and Jennifer are kind of going at it, and he was like, "I got to go through all of this to get your name." I like that. I did like that, but outside of that, everything else, oh god. So, yeah, like that. The motorcycle scene. I agree with you. If that was done 10 years later, where he goes and steps on the motorcycle and defies physics and, kicks Bullseye off of the motorcycle coming at him going 60 miles an hour, that of course he's just going to repel, Bullseye because he's going, what, 20? But anyway, whatever. Let's suspend belief for a sec. I just think that that right there, and there are a couple of scenes where if we'd have been 10 years down the road, that probably would have been a lot better.
Yeah,
I can give you that. But I did like where Bullseye throws the stars at him that are in his belt, and he misses, and you just see Bullseye like, wait, what? You missed? No. Now, if this were Mr. Sinister, I would say he was sassy, but he's not, and I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to use that word.
Saucy? He's
Yeah,
saucy?
I would
He's
say he
saucy.
was sassy if this was Mr. Sinister,
Mhm.
because Sinister is sassy, but
Yeah.
just his reaction was like, I missed. I never
Mhm.
missed. You know what I mean? And then when they have the engagement on the motorcycle and it's like, did you miss something? And it's got I now that was kind of cool, right? It's
Mhm.
unfortunate that it killed Elektra's father, but that was kind of cool. And then the way he throws it and Daredevil, no, what happened? There was an explosion, right? And it
Yeah.
caused him to not be able to focus on the stick. And it killed him. And speaking of which, there was no explanation for stick. And I don't know that you had to throw in like a 20-minute explanation, but I felt like how can you have a Daredevil movie without stick?
I mean, that's another issue I had is like this feeling like the first act was the first Daredevil movie and the second and third act were a Daredevil sequel.
Yeah.
Like you could have introduced Stick. Like how the heck is? I guess the explanation was that he taught himself how to do those things, and especially with his dad being a boxer and everything. That's the explanation I got. That's I guess Stick just doesn't exist.
Yeah. I don't like that because Daredevil is a very prodigious fighter. He is an extreme martial artist. You
Hmm.
don't take on guys like the Hand off just teaching yourself and
Yeah.
your dad's boxing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and I know the Hand obviously they're not in this movie, but
Hmm.
I feel like that's like doing a Batman movie without the Joker. Excuse me, without Alfred. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like Stick is essential to Daredevil's development, right?
Hmm.
Now he's definitely not Alfred in that he doesn't have a soft touch, but he is essential to the development. And I just again I guess the more I talk about this, that to me is why this movie just feels so incomplete. Is because there were too many things that there was not a lot of time on character development. It's I'm a child, all of a sudden I'm Daredevil, I'm imbued with all of these abilities. There's no explanation why, and here we go. And oh yeah,
Hmm.
I got a lot of tremendous guilt that you know nothing about, right? I don't know. Anyway, but I did think that was cool in the way that he threw Daredevil's weapon and Daredevil missed it and he hit what's his name in the chest like a 90-yard bomb, just got him right
Hmm.
there, took him down. Elektra is pissed. Let's talk about that scene for you and good and bad in that scene.
I mean, it. I mean, it's Daredevil's like first test with an actual like villain and not necessarily just like street crime. Like he's finally got a test.
Yep.
Um, and I'm glad someone ended up dying because of it because then that's something that could go onto his conscience.
Right.
The issue is the way it was written was it had nothing to do with her father dying and it being on his conscience. It had everything to do with I upset my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, you could have really built like again, if you inject the religious elements that make Daredevil Daredevil,
Mhm.
you could have really turned spun this around into like an the emotional trauma, the mental trauma that he has now because that guilt that he feels. But
Mhm.
he doesn't feel guilt. He doesn't. He's just kind of like I'm sorry. I tried to protect you, and I'm just like, what? Like, come on, dude. And again, the dialogue, the direction was better than the dialogue, and yeah, I like I mean Bullseye using Daredevil's weapon to kill Elektra's dad was very smart. Also, the actor who plays Elektra's dad, I've seen him in like a million different things. I
Mhm.
never remember his name. Um, but I don't think I could believe that that's Electra's dad. I'd like to know what her mom looks like, because
That's just
yeah,
mean. That's
um,
just mean. That is mean, man. That is mean.
that's
But
just
true.
me.
But true. But very
It
true.
didn't make
You're
sense.
right. I
Yeah.
evidently look, her mom was a real looker. She would have to be. Okay? She would have to be. Just saying.
Yeah.
No. God, you made me forget. I was gonna what the you did, baby. Oh my God, what the hell was I? Okay, yeah. So let's talk about the scene where Elektra confronts Daredevil and she stabbed us in his shoulder and he's like, I'm not gonna fight you. No, 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 no. I know what I was gonna say. All right, let's put that on the back burner for a sec. To me, Daredevil's character and Kirk Wagner in the X-Men are eerily similar
Mhm.
because they're both, what's the word I'm looking for? Um what's the word I'm looking for? They're both paradoxes, I guess.
Mhm.
Um in that Daredevil is a daredevil, but he is a devout believer in the Catholic faith, a devout participant. He wears it on his shoulder. That is a large part of who he is. And Kirk Wagner is a minister. Well, I think Kirk Wagner is a priest. But of course, his outward appearance
Mhm.
is one of a devil, his father being Azazel. But I think just those two are walking paradigm. Would that be plural of paradigm? Anyway, they
Yeah.
are they are walking paradoxes. Just in the fact that they represent outwardly one thing, but internally they are totally different. Right now, you could make the argue in Daredevil's case that when he's out there in Hell's Kitchen on the mean streets, he is every bit of Daredevil. He does not kill, but he is every bit as gritty. He's gonna beat you to a pulp. That is Daredevil. But on the inside, totally different person, right? And that to me is the struggle of protector versus righteous lawyer, obey the law, right? That to me is like the struggle, the internal struggle.
Mhm.
Give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, that it makes sense. That parallel. I think what what makes Kurt Wagner this it sucks for him is like he's probably a lot nicer than Matt
Yeah,
Murdock is.
yeah, yeah.
And he's just his physical appearance is frightening to some people.
Right, right.
And that's what makes him such a great character. And then with Matt, it's like he's trying to dress up like that to intimidate. Like they're both
With both
trying
fear.
to be
Right,
the opposite. Yes,
right,
like
right.
like Nightcrawler doesn't want to be feared. He just wants to love everybody, and yet he has
Daredevil.
his physical appearance. Daredevil
Right.
wants to fear. It wants people to
He
fear
wants
him.
everyone to
So
fear him, like Batman,
yeah,
like Batman in that sense.
yes. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's very interesting. And again, if they injected the religious elements into this movie,
yeah.
it I really think you could have done a really good. I mean, with everything I want this movie to be,
Mhm,
they could have probably added another like 40 minutes to the movie.
mhm, mhm.
Now I've watched the director's cut of this before, and it still doesn't
It's
do
still it's
all that
still very
much.
flat because that's the cut I
Yeah,
actually watched, and it's still
yeah,
very flat,
yes,
remarkably flat.
yes,
It's like they just did what they
mhm,
did for 20 more minutes. That
Yeah,
was it.
this
They used the
there's
same
no
process,
difference.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But,
yeah, if they added those elements, yeah, then I, it could have been a completely different movie. You could have related. I don't relate to this Daredevil character
right.
almost at all.
Right.
Like I don't know what there is for me to feel for this character.
Yeah.
I actually feel more for Elektra than I do Daredevil in this movie.
Yeah.
And that's probably why Elektra went and got her own spin-off sequel to this.
Yeah.
Which also
Agreed.
wasn't that
That
great.
bomb. That bomb.
And
Yeah.
but what's crazy is in both of these movies, I still care for Jennifer Gardner's Elektra
Right.
and her character overall. And that's why I think I appreciate her showing up in Deadpool and Wolverine, because she didn't deserve to be in these.
Jordan, you there? You cut out. You froze. Ah, dang it. Jordan, you froze.
Yeah. Are you, can you hear
Okay,
me?
you there? Yeah,
All right.
I see you.
Yeah. That's probably why I appreciate her performance in Deadpool and Wolverine, because like she didn't deserve to be in any of these crappy movies.
Yeah.
And I think Jennifer Gardner did good with the material she was given.
Yeah.
So I'm if they were gonna pull one between Daredevil and her out of this universe, if they were gonna pull one character, I would agree with pulling Elektra out and taking her with for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay. So I got three of my favorite scenes. Although ironically, even though I didn't like the dialogue in the movie, I liked a lot of the scenes just because of the characters, the set, the way that they were. I liked it. So I liked obviously we talked about Matt and Elektra in the rain. We talked about the rooftop showdown between Kingpin and Bullseye. Elektra's death, which to me, again, I just felt like they didn't get enough time, right? And look, it maybe that's what they were trying to convey, but it just felt like, golly, y'all just met each other, y'all just decided y'all were gonna be together, and now this happens, and it felt incomplete, right? But maybe that was their what they wanted. The playground scene scrimmage, you know what I mean? Scrimmage, fight, whatever you want to call it. Skirmish. And the
Round
hospital
one.
scene. Round one. Fight. Yeah. You've ruined that scene for me, Jordan. Thank you. You just ruined it. Because you know what? Now that you say that, I see the way that Ben is standing, right? And he takes off his coat, and it does look like Mortal Kombat. And thank you for ruining that for me. Thank you,
They
Jordan.
both
Thank
do
you
it
so much.
simultaneously too.
They do.
Like,
thank you for ruining that for me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
you're
that.
welcome.
Thank you, Jordan. That's just lovely. I so appreciate it. Dixon Way. Oh, we got Dixon Way in the building. Dixon Way says good morning. Uh Dixon Way says you don't want none in Street Fighter TV. Yeah, you probably got me in Street Fighter, Dixon Way. You got it. Now Mortal Kombat, I don't know. Maybe. But Street Fighter, I don't know. Mortal Kombat, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, favorite quotes. And again, some of these were really campy, but the whole justice is blind thing with him talking with his back to the crowd, to me, that was like just a little on the nose, maybe. I don't know how you felt about it, but it's like, you're a blind guy, dude. We know what you're doing.
Yeah.
The city doesn't deserve a better tomorrow. It deserves to drown in its filth, Kingpin. Now that was not one of my favorite quotes, but I did this to illustrate the difference between this Kingpin and the Kingpin in the series, because the Kingpin in the series is very much a part of the community, and to me, very much plugged in. Like, there's some stories in Marvel where, and I forget the story, but essentially the Kingpin provides protection to people. I think all of New York is in darkness. because of something somebody did. It's a global story with the Avengers or whatever. But anyway, Kingpin provides protection for this city, and he says, "Look, when everything goes back to normal, just remember me." And it is a part of how he becomes mayor of the city. But the point is, he always takes a vested interest in that of the city, in that of New York. And this line to me was just very much um, an example of how these folk just didn't get that, of how the writers did not get that. This is not something Kingpin would say. This is not something Kingpin would
Yeah.
feel, even though he is all business. And I get that. There is a part of him, but he's very much plugged into the city. And then the whole "I'm not the bad guy." I just thought that was funny when he's at the top of the like, "I'm not the bad guy." Like I'm not. I'm really not, right? I thought that was funny. Any other quotes that stuck out to you?
I mean, quotes.
He's gonna go no.
I don't think there's probably when that the train scene. It's a great quote, but if it wasn't from Daredevil, it would be received a lot better. When
What's
he's
that
like,
quote again?
that light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, that's not heaven.
He's like, that light at the end of the tunnel. That's not heaven. That's the C train. That's a great line. That is a fantastic
man, I forgot
line.
about that. I forgot about that. That is a good one.
Mhm.
That is a good one. That
Mhm.
is a good one. Yeah. Oh my God, he did say that. That light at the end of the tunnel, that ain't heaven, buddy. That's the sea. Oh my goodness, I forgot
Yeah.
about that. You're right. Thank you for reminding me of that. That's crazy.
Mhm.
And we've kind of done this, but again, 2003 had more of a gothic tone, standalone, experimental CGI, Netflix MCU, serialized depth, realistic fight choreography, strong writing, and I agree with that. Specifically the dialogue, there's more depth in the character. And I get it that you've got a series, you've got 13 episodes to flush that out. I get that, but I just think that if it's one thing that this movie lacked, it was they didn't develop a lot of characters. They really didn't. There wasn't a strong dialogue. There wasn't the background needed to give you the understanding of how we get from Matt Murdock kid to Matt Murdock Daredevil grown man 30 plus years old. Just my thoughts. And again, kind of again, we went over a lot of this. Fisk cares more about his community and the series, and Wesley would never turn on him. And we've kind of covered that, so we can move on. 10 little known facts. The
You know
right.
what's
Go
you know
ahead.
what's one scene that that really I saw it and I was like, this is what the show did. The style of the courtroom scene, like there's
Yeah.
almost like a green undertone on it,
Yeah.
and it felt like season 1 and 2 of Daredevil, the show. That's what
Yeah.
I thought when I was watching
It
it.
did. It did. It did. It did.
Mhm.
Dixon Wade says he's a better Batman than Daredevil. Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, what I would say is the writing in this movie was so bad that it's kind of unfair to hold him to that, because I honestly think Ben did all he could do with the material that he was given. Do you agree, Jordan, or
Yeah.
give me your thoughts on it? And I pretty much I think he did everything.
I agree. I mean, you're really taking. I mean, Daredevil. This movie came out in what, 2003.
Yep.
So you're taking a movie that came out like when I was 3, and Ben Affleck became Batman when I was like 15, 16.
Hmm.
So there have been, and I mean, during that time we got the MCU. We got multiple Superman movies. Like there's so much time that passed that, of course, he is a better Batman. But again, I would have liked. This is the first movie that we're reviewing where I'm like, I wish we got this movie 10 years later.
Yeah.
And some movies, I will say, I wish we got this earlier. I wish we got this later. But this is going to be the first one where I'm like, if this movie came out 10 years later, I think it would be a lot better. I think do I think the casting would have been the same? No. Could they have done the casting the same? I don't remember when Michael Clark Duncan ended up dying, but I mean, you could have done both of them. You could have done Jennifer Gardner, Ben Affleck. You still could have done all of that. Colin Farrell as Bullseye, but there was obviously more depth, and there's more depth in general for Batman in terms of the common knowledge.
Yeah.
But there's more common knowledge about like who whatchamacallit, like Batman is in media. So versus Daredevil, I mean, before Charlie Cox became Daredevil, not really all that much in terms of mainstream media. So yeah, I mean, of course he is a better Batman, but I'd be curious time-wise how that would have been different if 10 years later this movie came out. Yeah.
That's a good point. And definitely Batman was a better movie. I'm not saying, I mean, no doubt about it. But to your point, this was years and years into it. You've kind of flushed out formulas. You kind of see what doesn't work. And it's a better template at that point. But let's get to 10 little known facts. Rights optioned in 1997. It was shot in LA, not New York City. That I did not know. Affleck wore milky contacts to, I guess, mimic, actually the affect of being blind or someone in his condition. The CGI sonar was done by Rhythm and Hughes. I thought that was great. Director's cut adds the Coolio subplot where he's basically framed for a murder that he did not commit that was done on behalf of Wesley. Joe Quesada, I believe a writer for Marvel, influenced the visuals, which you could tell. You could see that. Vin Diesel was considered for the role. Can you imagine
but
that?
You can see that. Look at this. Look at that photo, like the bottom right photo. Like you could imagine that as Vin Diesel. Like I could be like, I could see that a young Vin Diesel. Like this was the first two the first Fast and the Furious movie, Vin Diesel. I definitely could see that. I mean, nowadays Vin Diesel, no, and even nowadays Ben Affleck, I'd be like, no, there's no way they could both be Daredevil right now.
Right. Okay. Garner's black suit was replaced with comic red. Oh no, they replaced the black suit. They replaced the comic red with the black suit. Hamilton watched the promo, and there was a viral email marketing campaign. And who cares about an email marketing campaign? Not me. Spinoff Elektra 2005. It was bad. Director's cut is the preferred version. Again, still bad. I've seen them both. 2003 is non-canon to the MCU, so they don't consider this, which is interesting because the Born Again series is in the timeline. How do you do that? Like, how do you do that, Jordan? Like, kind of explain that to me. How do you pick one and not the other?
Well, I mean, this movie doesn't really connect to Daredevil Born Again or the Netflix show. So, I mean, this is its own thing. The only real connection as to why we are reviewing this is because Jennifer Gardner's Elektra. This is the same Jennifer Gardner Elektra that shows up in Deadpool and Wolverine. So, in order to understand her character when we see her in Deadpool and Wolverine, we have to watch this movie and then Elektra. So we have to, and I think it adds to when she shows up. Like when you see her, you're like, oh, like we know what she's been through. She's literally been to hell and back, literally. And I mean now she's got to help like save the multiverse when it comes to Deadpool and Wolverine. And I'd bet all my money that she's going to be in either Doomsday or Secret Wars or both.
Probably will. I think what's interesting is just how underdeveloped some of the, like Karen was. I mean, we see her in a couple of scenes, but in no way do we get the relative importance in Matt's life reflected in this in regards to Karen. Like we don't. Like she's just like she's almost like a backup dancer, right? And that is clearly not who she is in the comic or in the MCU series, which is interesting because that's the one with Karen where they kind of took a little license because Karen in the comic book is a reformed addict. But it's just the storyline that they took in the MCU is totally different. But either way, this movie does not reflect her relevance to Daredevil. That was one thing that we saw. And then they really didn't do a lot of Ben Urich in this movie. You see him in scenes, you see him, but again, they just to me they didn't do a good job of just character arcs on anybody other than Daredevil, in my humble opinion. It was like, okay, we'll do him. Maybe we'll do a little Elektra, and outside of that, don't worry about everybody else. We got an hour and 45 minutes, and that was to me the biggest flaw of this film. You know, but again, those are just my thoughts. Your thoughts on the character arcs? Are we good? Excuse me. Your thoughts on?
I mean,
your thoughts on the on just the development of Karen on anybody not named Daredevil and Elektra in this movie.
I mean, I think everybody was underdeveloped in this movie. I mean, it's supposed to be an origin story, and this movie felt like Daredevil and Elektra. That's what the title of this movie should have been.
Yeah.
Because you could have probably developed Elektra more, and then just made it Daredevil and Elektra. Again, this felt like a sequel. The second and third act felt like a sequel. The second and third act felt like Daredevil and Elektra. That's what the title felt like. But I mean, then you get to everybody just felt underdeveloped. The only people that felt fully developed was Daredevil's dad, because I mean he's only in it for a little bit and then dies, so he felt fully developed.
Oh wow, okay, all right. Well, look, we're at the point. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 43%. Metacritic gave it a 42%. Cinema Score gave it a B. Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars. NYT said second rate. Variety pretender among heroes. EWC minus, audience reception mixed, but nostalgic appeal endures. And that's true. There is a certain amount of nostalgia to this film. Even as much as I've said about this movie, I still liked it ultimately just because of 3 things. Number one, the imagery I thought was really good. I thought the casting was great on this. I thought a lot of the scenes and the stills was really good, specifically with Michael Clark Duncan. I think when you just look at him, you see Kingpin. I thought that was just great. So yeah. Let's go ahead and go to rankings. And before we do that, let's review all of the rankings that we've done so far, right? Which it's getting to be a lot because we're doing a lot of these. So let's see. Spider-Man, I gave a 10 out of 10. Jordan, you gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Jordan rarely gives 10 out of 10s to anything. Captain America, First Avenger.
It's a special group.
I get it.
It's a special group to be a 10 out of 10.
I get it. Yeah, it should be rare. It should be rare. Captain America, First Avenger, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Jordan gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Again, Spider-Man, he gave a 9.5 out of 10. X-Men First Class, I gave an 8 out of 10. Jordan gave Captain America 8 out of 10. X-Men Dark Phoenix, I gave an 8 out of 10. Jordan gave X-Men First Class 8 out of 10. The Fantastic Four First Steps, I gave an 8 out of 10. Jordan gave Blade a 7.5 out of 10. Blade, I gave an 8 out of 10. Jordan gave X-Men Apocalypse a 7 out of 10. X-Men, I gave a 7.5 out of 10. Jordan gave X-Men a 7 out of 10. X-Men Apocalypse, I gave a 6 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Pause. Jordan gave X-Men Dark Phoenix a 6 out of 10. I gave Captain Marvel. I think this is the biggest disagreement we have, but I gave Captain Marvel a 5.5 out of 10. Jordan gave it a 2.5, so whatever. Jordan gave X-Men Origins Wolverine a 4 out of 10. I gave it a 5 out of 10. Jordan gave Blade 2 a 3 out of 10. And I gave Blade 2 a 5 out of 10. So that's how we arrived where we are now. So, my friend, with no further ado, and I know you typically like for me to go first, so I'm going to go ahead and go first. I gave this one after a lot of consideration. I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. The dialogue was just bad. The dialogue was bad. I can't get away from that. But I feel like Affleck's performance was good. I felt like Jennifer Garner's performance was good. I feel like Michael Clark Duncan did what he could do. And Bullseye, although very campy, I feel like he still did what he could do with it. So I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. I'm interested to see, what say you, sir? What do you give this movie, Jordan?
This mathematically might be our biggest difference.
Oh wow!
I gave it a 2.5 out of 10.
Oh wow!
Now,
okay.
Before yesterday, I had it below Captain Marvel, and I had it as the 5th worst Marvel project.
Okay.
Both Captain Marvel and this have 2.5. But after watching it yesterday, I realized I can still have fun laughing at this movie at how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather watch a movie that's like that than a boring movie like Captain Marvel. So I will put Daredevil
or the
just
Eternal.
Above. Actually,
which put me to
Eternals
sleep.
is somewhere around there.
Yeah, it should be, and it should be, yes, because that's probably going to be the first one, Jordan, that we both give a 3. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Well, I am going to spoil it. I do not care for that movie, and I'm going to need copious amounts of liquor when we do. I'm just saying.
Can you bring up?
I think the ratings again?
Can you?
Jordan, you kind of cut out.
Oh,
Jordan, you there? Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to see. So you said 6.5 out of 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this movie, I mean, I don't give it a positive review. I think there's a lack of depth. I think there's a lot of moral, like and the issue I have with Captain Marvel is I don't care about Captain Marvel.
Right.
And I don't care. I probably care less about Ben Affleck's Daredevil. The biggest difference is, like Carol Danvers loses her memory, so you're like, oh, that sucks. And I mean, maybe as a child, Daredevil loses his dad, and you're like, oh, that sucks. But that's it between those two. I don't care about those characters at all. And the biggest difference is for why I'm slightly putting this. I'm slightly putting this above is that I'll have fun making fun of this movie, and also the soundtrack that now Captain Marvel, which took place in the 90s. In my opinion, had a pretty awful soundtrack that it could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Just the song choices. It's not the songs were bad. It's the song choices in the moments were not good at all.
Yeah.
So you have, and with this movie, I mean, you got Evanescence playing, and playing My Immortal and Wake Me Up Inside. Like those are two. I mean, those are. I mean, I literally after I got done watching this movie, I immediately was driving to the movie theater to go see Black Phone 2, and over my phone, over my car stereo, I was playing My Immortal, because I'm like, this song is fire. This entire
It's great. It
soundtrack
is great.
is
It is
just
one of the best.
amazing.
Yeah, it is one of the.
Yes.
Tell you how good it is. And my brother will tell you this about me. I have a propensity to just, if I love a song, Jordan, I will play it to death. I must have played this song between 2003 and 2007 at least 3,000 times. Like I love this song. I love that groove. And I had forgotten that this song was in this movie until that scene. And I was like, oh. So when I texted you yesterday, you were like, you got to have the soundtrack. I was like, you know what? You're right. So, but no, that was a great, one of the greatest soundtracks. I will give that to you. I would agree with that. So you
But
gave it
yeah,
go ahead.
the it's just a 2.5. Like I'm not going to recommend this to anyone. There's certain scenes where I'm like, that I would like to recommend to people, but then I'm like, as a movie as a whole, I'm just like, I don't want to recommend this to most movie goers. The only people I will recommend this, even Daredevil fans, because I see Daredevil social media. I'm in that group now of Daredevil super fans, because with the cancellation of the series back in 2018, 2019, it created this fan base that wanted to see that again. So there's this huge Daredevil following. And I don't think I would recommend this to any of them. There's certain parts where I really like, and then there's a lot of it that I'm just like, why did they do this? Why am I seeing Mortal Kombat with Jennifer Gardner and Ben Affleck? Like, Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin, fantastic. But there's just some decisions where I'm like, I laugh at it. And I would rather laugh at a movie than just sit there bored and fall asleep like Captain Marvel. But there's more issues with this movie than Captain Marvel. But Captain Marvel's more boring than this movie. So I put them in the same vicinity of one another.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm not I'm not going to defend this movie. It is what it is. So agreed with you 100%, my friend. But you know what? What I will say, and I guess it's the same thing I can say about this process. It was still fun watching it, man. Like that's the one thing that I've enjoyed throughout this entire coverage of the MCU that we've been doing is looking at these movies again, I guess with the purpose of looking at them and evaluating them has just made the process so much more fun. So thank you for that. As you guys know in the chat, or maybe some of you don't know, today you get blessed because we're doing two movies. So we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to now transition to X2, which is the second in the installment of first X-Men films. It was released in 2003, same year. The director was Bryan Singer. It was produced by Lawrence Schuler and Ralph Winter. Writers were Michael Dougherty, Dan Harris, David Hayter. Cast, obviously, a lot of the same: Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Famke Janssen, Halle Berry, Brian Cox. Release date was May 2nd, 2003. Budget was $110 million. Jordan, you there? I guess you'll come back to $125 million. And box office was $407 million worldwide. Jordan, you back? Oh, he's back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's shift gears to X-Men 2. Right away, I can say this was a far better movie to me, obviously, than Daredevil. I enjoyed this one. Of the three, which is X-Men, X2, and X-Men Last Stand, to me, in my humble opinion, this one was the best. Don't know what you think, but those are just my thoughts. Let's get into the plot summary. Now, what I really liked about this, what I really think Fox does well, I think they do Nightcrawler really well. Really well. The the teleportation, the moving in and out, the being they did him really well in this movie. I've never seen them do a bad Nightcrawler. Let me put it that way. I've never seen them do a bad Nightcrawler. I'm talking about Fox. But they really did a great job. The movie opened with him attacking the president or basically in the White House. And man, he takes on a whole garrison of folks. I mean, he takes on a bunch of folks, gets there, is about to kill the president and doesn't kill him because somehow somebody in some way, someone intervenes, and we'll find out why later. But really just love that first scene. Colonel William Stryker, who is the devil, by the way, raids Xavier's school and manipulates Xavier to use Cerebro for genocide. The X-Men and Magneto unite to stop Stryker. Jean Grey sacrifices herself at Alkali Lake to save them, hinting at her Phoenix powers. Very, again, oversimplification of everything that took place in this movie. I really enjoyed this. Jordan, let's talk about that first scene where we see Nightcrawler at his best, doing his thing. And the first thing I was thinking when I saw this is, oh, this is Mystique. But then I was thinking to myself, would she really have the ability to mimic his powers like that? Maybe she could. I don't know. But the ability to teleport and mimic him, I don't know if she'd be able to do that. But that was my first thought. Is this must be Mystique, because Kurt Wagner would never willingly do this. Because, again, it had been a while since I saw X2, and I forgot what took place. Give me your thoughts on the first scene, though.
I always think this is a cool scene, but and the idea of it sounds fantastic. I want to like this movie more than a lot of people, because I know everybody loves this movie so much, and I love this. I love this movie too. I just don't love it as much. Like, some people think this is one of the greatest superhero movies ever, and I can't agree with that.
No, me neither.
I want to like it. I love the script. I think this is one of the best scripts that this is arguably the greatest script that Fox has ever had for a Marvel movie.
Agreed.
But there's some things that I think when I was younger, and I mentioned this when we did X-Men, that I had the original X-Men ahead of X2 up until like last year. For my entire life, I would rather watch X-Men than X2 because I always found X2 boring. But now that I'm older and I understand film a little bit better, I understand that this script is a million times better than the original X-Men script.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think the execution, like, they had ideas where I'm like, that's a really great idea, and then I'm just like, okay, that was good, that was solid, that was really solid how you executed that. If you told me this is how the opening for this movie is, I'd be like, that sounds like a fantastic idea. But the one thing with Nightcrawler's powers that maybe I don't care for is in this whole scene, that puff of smoke that he leaves after he's teleported, it almost like overshadows like some of the kills, or not kills, some of the like people he's like knocking out and things, because you're like trying to look through the smoke and be like, all right, what's he doing?
Right.
Like, you can't really. It's almost like it was shot not that great in this scene. Also, I question, like, how is he able to get into the White House in the first place? because Nightcrawler, those who know Nightcrawler know that he's got to be able to
Got
see
to speak.
something to
Right.
teleport. He can't just
Right.
yeah. So he can't just teleport in the White House whenever he wants. He's got to be able to see it. And I'm just like, all right, that's okay. We're this is interesting. Also, Nightcrawler, no kill rule, no kill rule, no kill rule. There's no kill rules for a reason, folks.
Yeah.
I don't, and I also I don't understand this one part. I just don't understand is I guess the mind control that Stryker has on some of the heroes in this, and he does it to Kurt in this. So I'd like to know how he got. I would like to know how the heck someone trapped Nightcrawler, because that sounds like that. How do you do that? What's the backstory that they captured Nightcrawler? I would love to know that. So as cool, it's a cool scene. This is a cool opening to the movie. I think it could have been a lot better, and I think it could have been an all timer. And for some people, this is an all timer scene. I'm just not one of those people.
Ah, ah, that's funny. That is funny. Well, I mean, look it, man. I don't know. I enjoyed the first scene, but I get it. He does have to see, and we do need an explanation. Like, how did he just end up there, right? Like, and again, Stryker being a planner, a very detailed planner, maybe he already knew this. I don't know. It's left up in the air, and you're right. We need an explanation. I'm not gonna even try and do the work for them because they should have done it for us. Wolverine's return. So Wolverine searches for clues to his past at Alkali Lake, only to find an abandoned base and haunting flashbacks. The quiet landscape mirrors Logan's loneliness and lack of answers. The scene deepens his arc. His rage comes from confusion and identity loss. It foreshadows his connection to Stryker and the Weapon X program. And you know what? That is true. I think they did a great job in this movie of just there were several storylines going on there, and one of them is Logan's need to find out his origin story and where he's come from. And that is something that is really woven through really all three films on up to the Wolverine debut, whenever that was. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about his return to Alkali Lake. Anything jump out to you regarding this, Jordan?
I mean, I don't. Another part where maybe I just didn't. Maybe I didn't understand it all that well. Because I know at the end of the first X-Men movie, he's leaving to go figure it out, and then he goes to Alkali Lake and he's like, "Oh, I can't find anything," and then leaves, and then goes back to the X house. But years have passed, and that's when I'm like, "All right, well, you're telling me you didn't sniff out anything, you didn't hear, you're telling me you didn't hear anything, Wolverine has great hearing, you didn't hear anything underneath the lake itself." It was just a bit of a confusing. I think it was more them pushing to have Wolverine out in the snow and confronting one of those animals, like an animal and stuff like that. I think it was cool idea, but just the execution, I was just like, all right, what was the point of that? So that was just, it was kind of confusing. And then Jean Grey's like, dude, she doesn't say this, but she's basically like, dude, it was underneath you the whole time. You didn't hear anyone. You didn't see anything. You didn't smell anything.
Right.
Dude, what would
what gives?
think? No, it was just, yeah.
Yeah, what gives? No, I totally get that, bro. And that's, I mean, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. Because it's kind of one of those things where he probably should have experienced that. He probably should have at least snipped something. So, um, I can't necessarily say they're wrong, but I mean, whatever. I enjoyed this. I did enjoy watching. I am so sorry for that. Whoopsie. Okay, let's close that. Sorry about that. Okay. Anyway, um, let's talk about character arcs. So Wolverine confronts his origins. Xavier struggles against misuse of his power, and he does the way that Stryker uses his son. And talk about a malevolent being, right? I think Stryker is the prototype for devout racists and how they get there. In that something happens to them, not in all cases, but in some cases, something happens to them by a member of another race of a particular group, and it forms and shapes their hatred for an entire people. And this is the case with Stryker. And if he'd have just gotten some therapy, I don't know, maybe it could have helped, but he's also a very intelligent, powerful man with the means to do something about it. And instead of him trying to, get help and work through it, he decides that he's going to weaponize a campaign against all mutants, especially his son, and really is the basis for a lot of just bad people and bad intentions. But Magneto forms an uneasy alliance, and he does with it. It's interesting, the relationship between Magneto and Charles Xavier, because as I've gotten older and I go back and watch these movies, I so appreciate them. Right? That I think this again is one of the things that Fox does well, is this relationship between Magneto and Charles, because even though it is older, the way that it is written, you understand how they got here, especially when you tie in the X-Men First Class and that entire series of movies. I thought they did a great job of that. They didn't do it. They really haven't done a great job with Spider-Man and Spider-Man villains and certain arcs of certain characters. Like again, Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, great. Have no issue with that. 1 and 2, great. You know how I feel about 3. We don't have to get into that. But I think they did a great job of that. Sinister Six and that whole thing, Amazing Spider-Man, they kind of miss with that. But with the X-Men, and specifically with Charles and Magneto, I think they've done a great job as far as their relationship. But give me your thoughts on that, Jordan.
Well, with Magneto, I love Magneto in this movie because this is how Magneto is supposed to be. This may be my favorite iteration of Ian. This is my favorite iteration of Ian McKellen's Magneto, because he's not the villain, but he's also not the hero either. He is a perfect anti-hero in this movie. Yeah.
Agreed.
So, and I mean, they need Magneto's help because Xavier is trapped right now. I mean, again, the script with this was amazing because it's like everybody knows how powerful Xavier is. So if you're able to have an X-Men movie where the X-Men have to do stuff on their own without Xavier because Xavier needs help, that's a great movie to have. Those are some of the best episodes in the X-Men the animated series, and this is just I just, the decision making for this movie is fantastic for trying to. I mean, they were literally Magneto is like picking X-Men, trying to like join their side, and like they take Pyro, which a great recasting because the Pyro from the first X-Men movie is different than the Pyros going forward. And I like this Pyro a lot. I like how how cocky he is. He like this is it, like he's like, you know, those mutants on the TV that are scared. That's me or something like that. I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly what he said,
Yeah.
but something along those lines. And I'm like, all right, dude, like chill out, bro. You need a lighter to make fire. So, and he, I mean, he tells that to Magneto. He's like, I can't just make fire, and Magneto is just walking him through like his potential. So, yeah, I mean, all of the there's so many character arcs in this movie that are so great. With with not Kitty Pryde, with what the heck is her name? Iceman and Rogue. Yeah. Iceman and Rogue, like I like that they're trying to have a relationship, and this is the peak of their relationship, because the going forward in X-Men Last Stand and a little bit, very briefly in Days of the Future Past, you just don't really see any sort of relationship. And I mean, in X-Men Last Stand, it seems like they've like grown apart from one another, even though they're trying to be a thing. But this is like them trying to work it out. And I think in the comics, Iceman, like anytime they kiss, Iceman like freezes his lips so that he's technically not making contact with her, which I really thought they were going to do that. I thought they were going to do that, and they just didn't. So, but you see in the end that they still love each other, and they're trying to make things work. And overall, I mean, Wolverine's character arc obviously is fantastic. I mean, you go from like he's just trying to remember things, and and I mean, there's parts of this where you're like, when Iceman freezes the wall between Stryker and Wolverine, and Wolverine's like, no, like, because Wolverine wants to still figure, even though these people are trying to capture the X-Men,
he wants to know the story.
He still wants to know who he is. Yes.
Right.
And he still wants to know. And by the end of the movie, he pulls off the dog tag, throws it at him. He does not care. He's going to go live his own life. So the character arcs in this movie are wonderful. Of all of the late 90s, mid to late 90s to early 2000s movies that we've done, this has the best character arcs. Even better, I would say even better than Spider-Man 2002, only because with Spider-Man 2002, there's not many characters to do the character arcs with, versus the X-Men as a whole team. So you have to do you have to figure out a way to do character arcs for all these people. And Jean Grey may be my least favorite character arc of this whole movie, because I don't think there was enough of a build-up to her death. Every time I watch this, I'm just shocked that they killed her off in the end. Because I'm like, there's really nothing else you could have done, and I think they just wanted to build towards her resurrection in The Last Stand. That may have been my one gripe with this whole movie, was her death. I mean, you see it at the beginning of the movie, she's going through like stuff with her head and stuff like that. And then you see it a little bit when her and Scott get into the fight, when Scott's getting his mind controlled. But otherwise, like, I don't think there was enough of build up. I think they should have planted something in the first X-Men movie if they were going to do this sort of build up. And another character arc I have a huge gripe with, this is the last one, is Scott Summers, is Cyclops, because this is the turning point in the X-Men franchise where I realized that the guy playing Cyclops, he's not written well. He doesn't have any sort of character development. And we had some of it in the first X-Men movie, and we were like, yeah, you could have been a little better. Like we could see potential. That potential went downhill. He had a sophomore slump, and I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed. But the one scene that maybe I like the most out of him, and it's the one him and Wolverine share at the end after Jean dies.
Yeah.
He wants to go out there and like risk his life to save Jean, and even Wolverine has to tell himself, like he's telling Sky she's gone, but he's also telling himself that she's gone.
Right.
That scene is so powerful between the two of them, because it's something that I don't even think we've ever seen in any other Marvel movie. Mm-hmm. To see two people like reacting like that to the death of someone they both love.
They both love. Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah.
So
and just to your
that
point,
scene was just so powerful.
The realization that he's saying to him, and you're right, he's saying to him, she's gone. And the more he says it, he said, oh shit, to himself, she's gone. And we see him working that out and his emotions coming out. That was a great scene, because you've got two guys that are diametrically opposed. These guys do not like each other. But in that moment, and it shows you the depth of love that they have for Jean, because in that moment they come together, right? Begrudging. And it also shows just the affect that death can have on a group of people that see each other every day, right? That it can be a uniting factor because they both love her. And in that moment, they suspend the dislike, they suspend the angst, they suspend whatever, and they're just human beings. So yeah, I agree with you there, buddy. I do. I agree. Jean Grey faces power overload and self-sacrifice, and I agree with all of that. I agree with all of these character arcs here. Themes coexistence versus conflict. You really do see that. It's interesting. Back to Scott Summers. In the comics, Scott Summers eventually kind of takes the side of Magneto, kind of becomes Magneto, in that he's just fed up with acceptance from human beings, and he goes through this phase where he's just like, you know what, I'm having none of it. If you're not a mutant, get out of the way. You know what I mean? And I just think it's interesting, because you're right. To me, they don't know how to write Scott, and they don't know how to write Storm. Those are two characters that in most of these movies are underwritten or underdeveloped, right? But anyway, just my thought. Fear and prejudice, definitely a theme in this movie, all up and through it. Identity and moral responsibility, and I agree with that. And I agree with the moral responsibility, because when Magneto did what he did, he goes to the X-Men and he says, it's my fault. Because when they ask, well, how did they get the details? And getting back to scene 3 when they raid on Xavier's school, again, I think William Stryker is just the worst, right? Let me tell you something about me. You can do what you want to me. You can do what you want to adults, but you attack kids. Excuse me for saying this. You're on my shit list. Like I don't like it when they attack kids in movies, because they're kids. They're kids. Give them the room to grow. Like it's a thing, man. So I apologize, because the commentary, you're gonna see it all up and through that, but I know what he was trying to do. I just think he's scum for doing it. If you want to attack the adults, fine, but you attack kids. You kidnap kids for the purposes of doing experiments. Like, this guy's scum, Jordan. He's just scum. There's no other word he is the bottom of my shoe. I detest people who do things like that to kids. I just don't like it. Wolverine defends the students again at the when they raid Xavier's school. And look at, again, we see what's his name? Colossus, which I thought was really cool. We see Kitty Pryde. We see a bunch of younger kids, and they are able to escape and get away, and thank God. But he is able to kidnap 6 of them. But there is that scene where Iceman puts up that layer of ice, and in this weird display of a need for identity, we see Wolverine and Stryker put their hands up in the ice as it. I don't know what that moment was. So maybe you can. What was that moment to you? When, because it almost seems like Stryker's just putting his hand up for the ice, and Wolverine is putting his hands up as, oh, you're a connection to my past that now I won't know. Give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, I think it was that. I think it was Stryker was just like feeling the ice, and I think Wolverine's trying to figure out who he is, and he is trying to do everything in his power to figure out who he is, and that's the identity theme of this whole movie, is that he's trying to figure out who he is, but in the end, like, regardless of what happens in the past, like, the past is the past, and that's something that he ends up learning in the end, is that he's moving on. But in this moment, he wants some sort of connection to his past. He wants to know something, why he is the way he is, how he got to this point in his life. So he's frustrated. I mean, he's frustrated with all of this. I mean, I couldn't imagine, like, imagine at your current moment in life not remembering anything before right now, and you're told that this person and is how you got to this moment in your life, whether they're good or bad, you're going to be like, I need to talk with them, I need to communicate with them, I need to know how I got here. So I think that's the whole, like, exchange with this moment.
Yeah, that is a need. That's almost one of Pavlov's hierarchy of needs, is identity. I would think it's somewhere in there, but it just goes to show that, you put human beings in a situation, and they will go to strange bedfellows. Like, he hates Stryker. He absolutely hates Stryker. But when Stryker's like, well, don't you want to know? And Stryker kind of uses this, you know what I mean? He weaponizes it against him. Like, well, don't you want to know? If you do something to me, you're not going to find out. And again, more reason why this guy's just scum. But anyway, totally agree with that. And the moral responsibility, getting back to that, when Magneto engages the rest of the X-Men that are left, which I believe is Storm, Jean Grey, was anybody else with them or no? Kurt Wagner,
Storm,
and he tells them,
Jean,
Kurt, Wolverine, and the kids, I believe, Iceman, Rogue, and Pyro. When he tells them, this is my fault or whatever, you really see him. One thing I will say about Magneto is probably accountable, because if Magneto does something, he's going to tell you. He's not going to be like, no, he's good. Yeah, I did do it, and here's why, right? And even in this case, he does that. So I agree. There is moral responsibility in this, and there is I don't want to call it an unfriendly alliance, but strange bedfellows have to come together in order to get them out of this. But this is one of the themes that we see in X-Men comics as well. Oftentimes, friends and enemies become frenemies because there's so much that goes on with the X-Men that we don't necessarily see with the Avengers. I mean, I'm sure it happens at some point with some global conflicts where you have heroes partnering with villains, but never so much so as when we see it with the X-Men, because it feels like, X-Men and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, they've worked together quite a few times. Give me your thoughts on that. Agree on that or disagree? Give me your thoughts.
No, I mean I agree with it. I mean, like Magneto, it's what makes this movie so great is that this, because in the first movie and the third movie, the Brotherhood is like the main villain,
Yeah,
and on top of the government's also a major
yeah,
issue. But
yeah,
like in this movie, we actually see Magneto playing both sides. At the end of the day, Magneto is for mutants,
yes,
but in a different light. And it's in the other two movies, it's almost like he will kill mutants to go through that, and that's not necessarily who Magneto is. And in this movie is the best version of Magneto because of that. The Ian McKellen's Magneto, that is. So, I mean, I love it. I love this. Again, the script of this movie was just beautiful, um, incredible. Bringing in because at the end of the day, if you're trying to present this idea of you have to be able to introduce Wolverine's backstory. That has to lead to Stryker. Stryker's the main villain. And how are you going to tie in Magneto into this? And it's
yeah,
like you can't have Magneto siding with Stryker. If this was a normal script for the time, they would have probably had Magneto siding with Stryker with something. But
yeah,
them bringing in Magneto and actually holding him accountable to the comic book standards is it's it's perfect for this movie. It's perfect
yeah,
for who Magneto actually is.
yeah, yeah. No, agreed, agreed. I think I think this was Magneto's finest work. I think it was the best version of him with Ian McKellen. I really did like this. Let's talk about Magneto's escape from the plastic prison because I dug everything. Like that was so cool. The fact that and let's talk about Mystique because really to me Mystique is the star of this movie. They don't nothing happens without her taking the first initial steps and doing everything that she does to get Magneto out of jail. So shout out to her because even though she's a villain, I thought this I thought this was probably the best version of Mystique that we saw, specifically in just how she. It was funny, and we'll get into that later. But anyway, she meets the prison guard, right? She's like, "Oh, and she morphs into her blonde self, and she's like, "Oh, do you want a drink or whatever?" And gets him to drink this cocktail that knocks him out, and then shoots him up with whatever concoction she does to overload. The iron is in his blood, but the way that they did that when he comes to visit Magneto, and again, it's interesting because I'm thinking, why doesn't Mystique just imitate him, kill him, take on the form of his body, and I guess help Magneto escape? But I guess that was the only way they could get something metal in that facility. So I thought it was just very, again, creative writing. She shoots him up with this cocktail, and he's like, right away, he's like, there's something different about you. Oh, wait a minute. I know what it is. There's too much iron in your blood. And the way he goes about extracting that from him, wow. And then formulating the iron in his blood into weapons, that was just pure Magneto. It was genius. I love the way they do it. It also helped the fact that the security guard was kind of an asshole, so we don't feel bad about his death. I thought that was just great. And then him wielding the iron into this platform that he can step onto when the plastic bridge retracts, and then him being able to use, and he always has a combination of these three metallic balls. So I thought that was really great. I love the way they did that. I'm going to shut up now. Give me your thoughts on this scene and just the way they did that. And do me a favor, Jordan, hold nothing back. Give me your thoughts.
I mean, you made a great point that like she could have imitated him. I never actually thought about that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, how have I not thought about this? Like, why didn't she imitate him? Because I mean, he's gotta. If he went through a metal detector, feeling the iron in his blood, I mean, the amount of iron that was in his blood obviously would have probably set off a metal detector either way. So I don't. I'm like confused now that maybe she didn't have to, maybe they didn't have to do all that. Maybe she could have just imitated him and gone through everything. Um,
But then
yeah,
he wouldn't have had the weapon. He wouldn't have been able to formulate the weapons to get out of there. So that's probably why they did it that way, right?
but the
He's not
metal's
going
in
to do
his
that to
blood,
her. He's not going to do that to her.
right? Well, right, but she could have still had something metal on her. Like if the if the metal detectors like the metal detectors just didn't go off when with the iron in his blood, like
Maybe not. Maybe not.
that's
Well, so I got a question. Would they go off? Would they go off? I mean, it's
that's the
organic
thing.
material. Would they go off?
I mean, and that's so interesting because I don't like. I mean, could she have just gotten that needle and brought that with her? She could have just and been like, "All right, here you go," and then just squeeze some out, and he could have made that not killing anyone. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's a plot hole.
I don't know. I don't
Maybe
know.
that's a plot hole.
I I apologize. I just thought about that because I watched it this morning and I was like, I thought initially she was gonna do her Mystique thing and just take on his identity, and she didn't. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, well, no, honestly, when she gave him the shot, I thought, okay, she killed him, right? So I'm thinking that's her
Mm.
walking in there, which kind of I liked it because it was a bit of a surprise. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, you put the iron in his blood so he can weaponize it. I thought
Hmm.
that was great, but I mean, that's cool. But just the way he escapes from that plastic prison, I thought
Hmm.
was very creative on the part of the writers. But I also thought that it was true to the comics because that is absolutely what Magneto would do. Magneto plays no games. Okay, he oh my God. That is 100% what Magneto would do. So I like that scene. I like scenes where you have either a villain, a hero, or anti-hero do something that is true to the character. And that is one of those things that Magneto would definitely do. All of the movements, the way that that's done was spot on Magneto. So I did enjoy that. Let's talk about the Mutant Alliance when they all get together in the woods, and they're like, "Hey guys, we got to work together." Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. Give me your thoughts on that. Give me your thoughts on that scene.
Um, I thought it was very. I thought there was a lot of weird things going on in this scene. Like, I mean, Wolverine. You had Mystique looking like Jean Grey going with Wolverine, and
Yeah,
I don't know. There's
yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
a lot of confusing things. There's just
yeah.
a lot of confusing things. I mean, I guess that's what makes the scene so good is that it's supposed to create this awkwardness because it's two sides that don't work together that have to work together.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it was an awkward. It was an overall the whole just atmosphere was pretty awkward in this scene.
No, bro. It was weird. But what was interesting is Wolverine always can tell who Mystique is by the smell. She can fool everybody else,
Yeah,
but he doesn't in this case. What clued him
yeah,
in was the scars that he left on her stomach as they are in the
mhm,
middle of their tryst or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, that's not supposed to
yeah,
be there. I know who you are." And then she just starts morphing into different people. And it's almost like this is a personification for Mystique's not being accepted by man because she's like, it's almost like she said, "Well, what do you want?" Like, you know what I mean? Just, You know what I mean? She's clearly attracted to the guy, but he's not attracted to her. But he's not attracted to her because of how she looks. He's not attracted to her because he knows who she is and what she does, and that's just not him. You get what I'm saying? But it's a weird thing going on. Let's. Do you think that's what the writers were trying to say in that Wolverine represents like society, and they're not accepting her, and her transforming into all these different people and still not accepting her? Or am I making way too much of that?
I think maybe it's just Wolverine, like he sees, like, I mean, he could be a representation of society on her, but I think also it could just be Wolverine doesn't like bad people, and he doesn't even like the idea of hanging out with Magneto. So like fraternizing with with the enemy is something that Wolverine just doesn't do. So I don't think I just don't think he wanted to be anywhere in the same vicinity as her. Never mind have any sort of romantic feelings. Like, I mean, I don't know if maybe that was Mystique just playing a game and playing a mental game with him, or if she actually does have feelings, because I always interpreted it as her playing a mental game with him because they wanted to throw off each member of the X-Men and just throw them off their game that way, because that's what Magneto does. And that way, in the end, Magneto has some sort of advantage, like taking like a helicopter when they need it, or he always has some sort of trick up his sleeve.
Yeah, I think it was both. I think she wanted old Wolverine. Yeah, I think she wanted her some Wolverine, man. But I also agree with you. It probably was encouraged by Magneto, but. Anyway, I just thought that was wow, man. Just this was just the scenes and the work that went into this. I really enjoyed it. I thought that was a great scene. I really did. So let's talk about some analysis and criticism. What worked? It was a very strong ensemble. Higher stakes, obviously, as if Stryker's plot is realized, they all die, right? Emotional depth, ambitious storytelling, and excellent effects, specifically with Kurt Wagner. Really did like that. What didn't? Well, according to them, or the sources, overcrowded cast, some rush plots, tonal inconsistency, and the CGI just didn't stand the test of time. Critics praised the ambition, but noted pacing issues. I didn't think the cast was overcrowded. I particularly like when there's a bunch of superheroes. That's just me. You know what I mean? Maybe I guess growing up reading the Avengers and the Invaders and the Justice League and a bunch of group scenario based comics, you kind of get used to that. So I didn't mind that, but I could see if you're used to like just Batman or Superman or whatever, I could see how you might have an issue with that. Tonal inconsistency. I don't know that the tone was inconsistent, but Jordan, you have a background in film. Give me your thoughts. Agree or disagree with that there?
I think there were some issues with tonal inconsistency. I mean, there's just, I think there's, when it comes to this movie, they try to play around with like romance, and especially with Iceman and Rogue. And I think overall that just doesn't fit with the rest of the film. And part of that was like a rushed plot as well, because we really didn't see much of a turn. I mean, like I said, there was some sort of arc in their relationship, but otherwise it did feel a little rushed. Not their relationship, but just the overall conversations they had in the movie itself. I mean, yeah, tonal inconsistency. I mean, you look at like some jokes that Magneto makes like out of nowhere, like I mean, there's a couple lines of dialogue that are like, okay, this is interesting. The tonal inconsistency coming from Pyro himself, just Pyro in general, his whole like switch from the goods from the X-Men to the Brotherhood. Honestly, did we really even need it? Do we even really need him to be in this movie? Like, if any, like it, I think it pushes for future movies like X-Men: The Last Stand, but we really didn't even notice it happen. I mean, yeah, there's bound to be people on the X-Men who are a little bit more ambitious and not wanting to be a part of the team, so they go to the Brotherhood. That happens all the time in the comics and the animated series, and vice versa, going from the Brotherhood to the X-Men. But it just, I don't. There were some issues. I wouldn't say it was like a major issue. Same thing with the CGI. Like, I'm trying to figure out what scenes, like, Mystique's CGI for herself, but like, what other scenes had extreme CGI? Maybe with Jean Grey and like the water, or like over her. Yeah. So maybe that, but like, I wouldn't even say the CGI was all that. I've seen worse.
I've seen worse too.
I wouldn't say it was all that much of an issue.
Yeah. The Daredevil scene, the Daredevil motorcycle scene was clear CGI.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. With the rush plot points, that's probably my issue with this, is the rush plot points. There were a lot of rush plot points because of an overcrowded cast, and like you, I'm fine with overcrowded cast. I mean, the X-Men is supposed to be an overcrowded cast. If anything, they didn't get enough of the cast because of Storm and Cyclops. So, but there was just some rush. The one rush plot point was Nightcrawler, because it felt like we just kind of like, they just have not written Nightcrawler right, in my opinion, because it's like they like the character a lot, Fox does, but and they want him to be a part of the X-Men, and they want him to be a foundational piece to the X-Men, but it's like they'll introduce him with a great introduction, and they have no idea what to do with him for the rest of any of the movies.
And you're 100% right. They don't write him well. They don't write Storm well, and they don't write Scott well. They do not. And I don't know what it is about them, but they just don't capture the complexities of these characters, right? Because just Nightcrawler is a delight, because he is a true contradiction of identities, right? Like, on the outwardly, he's a devil in his appearance, but he is anything but that on the inside. He is the warmest, kindest, gentlest person that will never get that chance because of his appearance. And whatever. Okay, that's fine. Wolverine's distrust clashes with the Magneto's arrogance. The uneasy alliance explores the blurred lines between heroism and extremism, creating one of the film's most compelling dynamics. And I think another thing that it does is that there are some circumstances that are so dire, you oftentimes have to work with people that you do not fundamentally agree with, right? Like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Never have truer words been spoken than in this scenario, where this guy's trying to kill all mutants. So now it doesn't matter your stance on humanity and the mutant relationship and that dynamic. We all don't want to die today, so we got to work together, right? So I dig it. I get it. It makes sense. Let's talk about favorite 3 scenes. Now, for me, I'm gonna tell you something, man. That number 1 scene, buddy. Wait. I dug it. That Nightcrawler going off, dude. Do you realize how many people he took out? Like he had to take out at least 50 folks. Like that was beautifully done the way they did it. That was awesome. I really did like that. I thought that was kind of cool. Um, the alliance with Magneto, high tension, mutual distrust. And again, that was a wonky scene, but what was funny about it to me was when Mystique tried to go in there and he really figured out who she was, and just the expressions on her face, like, okay, well, I'm gonna try this. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, now I'm gonna try this. Oh, that did that. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't funny to most people. That was funny to me. Like when he figured out who she is. And you know what else is funny? So in the comic book where Wanda loses her mind and says no more mutants and gets rid of all mutants but 350 of them, or however many. It's a comic. I think it may have been written 7, 8, 9 years ago, but basically Wanda loses her mind. She becomes disillusioned with the Avengers because she feels like it's her lot in life is their fault, and so she kind of launches an attack against them. And the second part of that comic is when Wanda just goes crazy and creates this world that's not real, but it's where everybody gets what everybody wants because she's in the middle of a psychotic break. And in this world, Jordan, Mystique and Wolverine are married. Are you familiar with this comic?
Yeah, House of M. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't remember the name. But oh my God, I thought about that when I'm watching this scene. I'm like, oh my God, right? And it's weird because Wolverine is one of the first people to wake up and be like, oh wait, this isn't right. This is not right. And he wakes up Mystique. And when he wakes up Mystique, she punches him like, how dare you take advantage of me? That was just that's classic Wolverine and Mystique. Anyway, I thought that was funny. But yeah, man, those are two of my favorite scenes. Jean Grey's sacrifice, specifically with Scott and Wolverine and how they kind of have that scene. Those are my three favorites. Any others you can think of that maybe kind of resonated with you?
There's a scene towards the end where Wolverine is fighting. I don't remember her name. Lady Deathstrike.
Lady Deathstroke, yeah.
And and that whole fight is so cool, and her death when he impales her with the tube of the adamantium that fills her up and then hardens. It's crazy. Yeah.
That was great.
That's a cool scene. I love when the X Mansion gets invaded by Stryker and his team. Just overall seeing the emergency plan with all the mutants and like where everybody needs to go. It's like everybody knows what to do in that situation. It reminds me like fire drills or like intruder drills that we did in elementary school. Like it reminds me of those almost. And I mean, it's good to see that that like Professor X has that instilled in the X Mansion just in case. Because I mean, think about all the invaders that have come into that house over the comics, the shows, the movies. So it would make sense. And just overall that part of that scene where Wolverine just has his hand up on the ice and he's like there's so much deeper meaning to that scene right there that it is a very heartfelt scene. I'm gonna be honest though, like I don't think there's like one scene in particular that I really like in this movie. And I think there's a lot of good, and this is again, this will be involved in my score. Like I think there's a lot of good in this movie, and I think the script is great, but I don't think there's one scene that I thought was great, and I don't think there was one scene that was bad either. I think this was just overall a really good movie. But there are other movies that I have at worse ratings that I'm like, oh, I love that scene. There's not a scene that in this movie that I necessarily love.
Hmm. Okay, that's fair. That is fair. Let's talk about some quotes. We're not as different as we think. There's a whole lot going on in there. Mutant and proud. Yeah,
Mhm.
sometimes anger can help you survive. And I think that's when oh God, Nightcrawler is talking to Storm. Can we just talk
Mhm.
about Nightcrawler for a sec? What a I thought he gave a great performance. I thought the actor who played Nightcrawler gave a great performance because you
Alan
just,
Cumming.
yeah, you feel the warmth radiating off of his soul. Like you just
Mhm.
you feel that. You feel his empathy and compassion um permeating throughout this movie. So I thought he gave an excellent performance, but he's saying to her in this moment, if you let go of the anger, maybe you may, feel a little better. When he's talking about how he pities certain humans and how they look at him. And she says to him, well, sometimes anger can help you survive. And I get it and I understand that and I totally understand where she's coming from. Um, Also, Professor X, when he says to William Stryker, for someone who hates mutants, you certainly keep strange company. And I agree with that. Um, I'm gonna guess if you didn't have any favorite scenes, you probably didn't have any favorite quotes, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. Anything jump out to you as far as the quotes are concerned, or no?
Honestly, not really. When it comes to the quotes in this movie, um, like I can't even tell you a few. Probably, oh, it's not like a deep meaning quote, but
Yeah,
when Magneto says to the security guy, "You have iron in your blood," it's
yeah.
like you have this realization in your head, and you're like,
It's about to
"Oh
go there.
crap!"
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Agreed.
yeah.
That's a good one, Jordan. That is a good one because that is
Mhm.
absolutely the revelation that I had this morning when he's like, "You have iron in your blood," and I'm like, "Oh," my first thought was, "Oh shit." Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh
Mhm,
man. I didn't remember what he did to him, but I knew it was gonna be bad, right? And it
mhm,
was. But you're right. That's a good one, Jordan. That is a good one. That is a good one.
mhm,
Let's talk about the juxtaposition of the first gen X-Men versus the new era or the older X-Men, who are the newer X-Men. But let's talk about the
mhm.
juxtaposition of them, and just the differences in performance and whatever we want to talk about. But early 2000s cast, mature tone, philosophical debates, ensemble storytelling, first class era, younger, focused deeper on origins, historical backdrops. Later films improved the affects and non-linear storytelling, greater psychological depth as far as the first class era. And then early X-Men built the franchise's emotional core. So let's go star for star. Um, there's nobody that I really don't like. So, early Charles Xavier, I'm good with. First class era Charles Xavier, I'm good with. To me, I like them both. To me, that's a tie. Like I can't pick one
Mhm.
over the other. Now, when we get to Magneto, I definitely prefer the younger Magneto or the Magneto in the first class era. And not that Ian McKellen wasn't great. I'm not saying that, but I just think that the newer Magneto just took it above and beyond. I prefer him. Um, the Mystique, to me, she's written differently in the first class era. She's given more depth.
Mhm.
She's given a higher arc than she is in the early 2000s. But I like the early 2000s portrayal of her. To me, in the early 2000s, they focused more so on Mystique, the anti-hero,
Mhm.
and in first class, they
Yeah.
focused on more Mystique, the person, and the origin story, right? But give me some of your thoughts on the differences between the two.
Well, first off, um, any anything is better. I mean, what sucks is they've done Storm so bad, even though they've gotten great people to play Storm.
Yes.
And Cyclops, same thing. I mean, I prefer the First Class era Cyclops. I mean, it's not even First Class era because it's like the 80s, the Apocalypse, and yeah. So, I mean, overall, this early 2000s Cyclops just isn't very good. He's not written well. I don't know. I am very curious to see how he is written in Doomsday, because if he's written well in Doomsday and doesn't perform, then I'm going to have a lot of negative things to say about the actor and going back to these movies. So, but like between Michael Fassbender as Magneto, I just prefer him over Ian McKellen. Now I know everybody loves Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen is a national treasure. But I just prefer Michael Fassbender's portrayal of Magneto. I love the depth that he adds. I think James McAvoy plays a perfect younger Patrick Stewart as Professor X. I think they're both equals in my opinion. I think there's more layers to pull back because he's younger for the James McAvoy one. And then, like Jean Grey, I don't really care for the actress who plays Jean Grey in these early 2000s. But I love the girl who plays it in Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. I love that actress. She's been in other things. She's in Game of Thrones. I've never seen Game of Thrones, but I've seen her in other things. Let
me ask you a question. I'm not trying to stop you, interrupt you, but before I forget, I just want to ask you: do you think sometimes that contingent upon the success of an actor or actress, that can influence other characters in the way that they're written? Because I agree with you. I think there's a whole lot more depth, and she's written a lot better in the second iteration. But I also know that this actress was also in Resident Evil. She was in a lot of those. Wasn't she in the Resident Evil films? Wasn't that her? Same actress?
I have no idea. I've not seen Resident Evil.
Oh my God, Jordan. Oh, Jordan, we literally we got to make a list, Jordan. We got to make a list today of movies that you have. Like, oh my God, Jordan.
I have a long list.
Jeez, I see. Well, anyway, I think it's the same actress, and I'm actress, and I'm wondering if that influences, like, well, I don't want to be seen this way, right? Because she's a star, right? I'm wondering if there's, well, I wonder like how much influence the actor or actress actually has on their image in other films. Now, I mean, I could be totally off here. I could be way wrong. But I'm just wondering if that's the case, or if you know of any examples like that.
I mean, in general, there are actors who they think they're high and mighty, so they put a little bit more influence on the films.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. That's behind the scenes stuff that I would never know unless they reveal it about
publicly
this movie or any other movie. So I don't think we'll ever really know unless for some reason they come out and say it. But like for example, Hugh Jackman is I mean, he's a fantastic actor, but he's also very open with his behind the scenes work. Him and Ryan Reynolds both are very open with what they do.
Yes.
Oh, so you know what they're like. They're not necessarily influencing a lot of things. They'll suggest things like, hey, I do want to wear the yellow suit. Hey, I think we should really do this in the scene. But they're not forcing it onto the movie or onto the writing or anything. Now, I mean, Ryan Reynolds does help with the writing. He's part of the writer's room, so it's very different for like all the Deadpool movies. But I mean, then you have certain other actors who behind the scenes, Tom Cruise, for example, during the last couple Mission Impossibles, I've heard many bad things and horror stories. I mean, there's audio recordings of him flipping out on people. So,
I did
mean,
not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
it got pretty bad.
I did not know that. Okay. I tell you who is like that. Who is like that to a default. And I love him as an actor. But again, I've heard horror stories, and that's Ed Norton, right? As a matter of fact, Marvel did not want him in the
Yeah.
Avengers because he literally rewrites scripts. Like that's where I was going. He literally is kind of go, I don't think my character would do this. This is what we're gonna do. And he rewrites scripts. And so and not that I think that she would do that, but I'm wondering if you get such great writing in certain characters and such bad writing in other characters, is that just a failure of the bandwidth or a failure of the writers to cover that much bandwidth, or did it have something to do with the characters? But I know in Ed Norton's case, like he was rewriting the script, and Marvel did not want to work with him again. Right. So anyway, just my thoughts. But go on. I wasn't trying to interrupt you there. It's just as it comes to me, I got to get it out because I'll forget it. But yeah,
Well,
I like them both.
it goes to like when like I'm glad we just did Daredevil, because like me saying that I wish this movie came out 10 years later, and it's like the way superhero movies were during this time frame, there wasn't much depth to a lot of characters.
Yeah.
And we really don't see that significant change until next week when we see Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
Because right now they're just trying to put out movies, see what works. This movie really started that great writing, and now they'll just use this as the tools to make better superhero movies going forward. So, I mean, it's a testament to the time. Like when First Class came out, all the way to when Dark Phoenix came out. I mean, that was in the prime era of superhero movies. So, and I mean, a lot of movies, not even superhero related, came out. So, like you could the development of these characters are at the front of these movies, versus in this movie with X2, they weren't worried about that.
Yeah, they weren't. They clearly weren't. And that's obvious. And you are 100% right. Let's talk about the battle at Alkali Lake, right? So at Stryker's Dam facility, multiple battles. Wolverine faces Stryker, uncovering his origin. Storm and Nightcrawler rescue Xavier. Magneto betrays the group, seeking mutant dominance. Jean Grey uses her telekinesis to hold back a catastrophic flood, sacrificing herself to save the team. Her final moments with Cyclops and Logan mark the emotional climax of the film. Woo! A whole lot going on there. Let's get into it. So, number one, let's talk about Xavier and Jason, the mutant who is Stryker's son, who is very malevolent, by the way. Killed his own mom. And I think, if memory serves me correct, isn't Jason mentally ill, or am I wrong in that? Is he mentally ill, or is he just malevolent?
I do not. I don't know much about his backstory. I honestly, like, I don't even remember him very much in the comics or in the show. Like I don't really know much about him.
Yeah. So it's weird because a lot of times with protagonist and antagonist, they do parallel in their lives, right? So Xavier's son, who has schizophrenia, what's his name? Legion, right? Who is Xavier's son?
Yes.
Who a lot of his personalities have their own set of powers. Look, if you ever run up on Legion, just run. Okay, just run, because that ain't a party you want to stick around for, because a lot of his personalities have their own set of powers, and some are good guys and some are not. So yeah, but if we juxtapose Xavier to Stryker, what Legion is to Xavier, Jason is to Stryker. Jason actually tortured his parents, and forced his mom to kill herself based on an illusion. So Jason is a very powerful mutant who puts you into illusions that you don't know are illusions. And so anyway, Stryker has basically imprisoned Jason and is basically torturing him for killing his wife, and is forcing him, so to speak, to put Xavier into this illusion and command him to use Cerebro to kill all of the mutants, right? But what's interesting, Jordan, did you fall out? What happened? I was saying you're back on you're back. I don't know. Wait. Okay. There you go. Jordan, you back? I guess you're coming back. Wait, are you there, Jordan? What the hell is going on? Jordan, you there? You there?
Oh, yeah.
I hear you. I see you now. You there? Jordan, you there?
Hang on.
It's all good. You might have to turn the. No worries. Take your time.
My audio is
all good. Tripping. I hear you. It's just the video still, but I can hear you.
Dang it.
You know what? Maybe you just kill the video. I mean, it's fine. It's all good. Sometimes with bandwidth, it'll.
No,
well, I don't know what it is.
Is not. 1 second.
Okay, take your time. All good.
No, what?
But
This isn't working. There we go.
You there? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
What the heck?
I can hear you.
I'm confused.
Okay. You want to come out and go
back?
Why
my audio is not working?
You want to come back and okay.
Sorry about this.
No, it's all good. It happens. It's all good. All good.
I don't understand because power beats.
It's all good. It's all good.
Heck. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay.
All right, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I don't know what's going on with StreamYard and my laptop right now, but I can't
all
get
good.
anything working right now.
It's all good. It's all good. Hey man, we figured it out, so it's all good. So yeah, I forgot what we were talking about. Okay, so Wolverine and Stryker, you know, they have their thing. Obviously, Wolverine kills Lady Deathstroke. And Wolverine says to Stryker, look, I don't care about this anymore. You can have this tag. You know what I mean? I'm going to go on about my life. Jordan, you there or did you drop? You there?
Yeah. No, I'm
All
here.
right, cool. All right, cool. Just making sure. Storm and Nightcrawler rescue Xavier from Jason, who is initially when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, I hate this guy. But then I realize this guy's just as much a prisoner as anybody else. Now he's still malevolent, okay, but because Xavier says I couldn't help him, but I wish they would have delved a little more deeper into that or given us a more
Mhm.
granular explanation as to why he couldn't help him. Because it's kind of hard to assess,
Yeah.
is this guy a bad guy who's just doing bad things and happens to be hated by his father and in captivity, or is
Mhm.
is he a good guy who's just being held and in fear of his dad? You know what I mean? There was kind of a little ambiguity there, but give me your thoughts on that, on how they approach Jason and Stryker, and I guess the parallels between Xavier and Legion.
I mean, it's so hard because so I've seen a couple episodes of Legion before, um, and I just can't imagine this version of Professor X having a son like Legion. Um, uh, it almost feels like it's a completely different version of Professor X.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it parallels them very well. Like from a comic books, if you read the comics, watch the show, and then you see this, you're like, oh, like this works. But I don't even know if the writers' room thought that much into it. I thought they just wanted to. I think they wanted to add an emotional depth to Stryker that says this guy does not care even if his son dies. I mean, he flat out says he's like, my son's dead,
Yeah,
and
he sure did say that. Yeah, you're right.
so there's a coldness to his character that it's like, okay, not even Magneto will stoop this low, and that's
Yes,
what makes
agreed,
him such a worthy villain.
agreed, agreed. Yeah, because he has no humanity where they're concerned. Um,
Right.
Magneto does Magneto stuff and betrays the group. Although it could have been worse, like he could have destroyed the X-Men jet and left them no way off. At least, or maybe you could argue, well, he didn't have time to get to the X-Men's jet, but he does take the other helicopter, which I thought that's kind of foul,
Hmm.
man. Like, why?
Hmm.
But then, maybe he's thinking, okay, the X-Men are capable; they'll figure it out. I don't know. Maybe he was trying to get a head start. What are your thoughts on him taking both helicopters, or taking one and
I
destroying the
mean,
other?
we all knew Magneto was going to do something like that. I mean, anyone who's watched this even a little bit knows that Magneto, even though he's siding with the X Men right now, we think maybe he's going to turn and become a part of the X Men. Nope, nope, that's just not who Magneto is.
It's not.
And I mean, ultimately, this does kill Jean because if he doesn't do that, Jean doesn't
They're,
die.
they're on the
I
helicopter.
mean,
Yeah,
and that's something that I don't think gets pointed out, and I don't think that gets pointed out at all throughout for the rest of this movie and in The Last Stand.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That is fair. All right, so then we get into Jean's arc where she obviously saves them by sacrificing herself and also planning the arc for the Phoenix, which they just love to do. Fox can't get enough of it. Um, and yeah, I mean that was basically it, and it did lead to the scene between Cyclops and Logan, which we talked about, so we don't have to
Mhm.
backtrack there. Um, so I thought all in all, this was a good film. I liked a lot of I liked a lot of the character development, right? This was kind of like the anti Daredevil because
Yeah.
there was there was so much more, and it's funny watching them back to back. Like I got up at 6
Mhm.
this morning and watched Daredevil, and then at 8 I watched X-Men 2, and it's like, oh, okay, this is what character development is. This is what you do.
Mhm.
But like you say, and it's weird they were done in the same year, so whatever.
Yep.
Anyway, we're at that point, man. Let me put our ratings back on here. So give
Mhm.
me a sec. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, I gave Daredevil 6.5 and you gave it a 2.5, right?
Yep.
I think that was the case. All right. So, everything else, and I'm gonna do mine and then yours. So I gave Spider-Man a 10 out of 10, Captain America 8 out of 10, X-Men First Class 8 out of 10, X-Men Dark Phoenix 8 out of 10, Fantastic Four 8 out of 10, Blade 8 out of 10, X-Men 7.5 out of 10, X-Men Apocalypse 7 out of 10, Captain America 5.5 out of 10. Oh, excuse me, Captain Marvel 5.5 out of 10, X-Men Origins 5 out of 10, Blade 2 5 out of 10, and Daredevil, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10, I think. And
Yep.
Jordan gave Spider-Man a 9.5 out of 10, Fantastic Four First Steps 9.5 out of 10, Captain America 8 out of 10, X-Men First Class 8 out of 10, Blade 7.5 out of 10, X-Men Apocalypse 7 out of 10, X-Men 7 out of 10, X-Men Dark Phoenix 6 out of 10, X-Men Origins Wolverine 4 out of 10, Blade 2 3 out of 10, and Captain Marvel 2.5 out of 10, and Daredevil 2.5 out of 10. So now that that's done, I'm going to give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. What say you, Jordan?
I couldn't agree with you more. I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, what?
I
Get out
mean,
of here!
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I gave
Okay.
it a 7.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, question for you. Do you put it below or above X-Men?
X-Men, the first one.
Yep.
You know what? I'm gonna have to put it above. Just because I felt like they did a
Yeah.
better job of flushing out certain characters. Which I know
Yes.
in a huge movie, it's kind of hard to do that with everybody, but I felt like they did a great job with Wolverine's character. They did a great job with Professor X, Magneto. I really love the way they wrote Mystique in this. I really did. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm gonna say this one's better. I'm gonna put this one over X-Men. Yeah. What about you?
I agree. I
That's what's
I
up.
agree. I mean, I even I mean, I said it I said it earlier in this video. I was like, originally, for a very long time, I had the original one ahead of X2 because I do think that movie is more fun.
Yeah,
This like for example, Daredevil's a fun movie. It's not
mm,
good, but it's fun.
it
I
is fun.
had more fun with the original X-Men movie, but X2 is a much better film. And
Mhm.
that I mean, it's a much better film, but I do think there's some boring elements to it because of that. So I mean, I have it right below Blade. I have Blade as also a 7.5, but I have Blade ahead of X2. I have more fun with I have the fun elements and the great script, the better and the all right, I wouldn't say great script with Blade. It's a good script.
Mhm.
Than I did with X2. But slightly different. Um and yeah, just I like this movie. Now a lot of people put this movie really high. So I'm really glad we both agreed with this one.
Oh yeah.
Because there are some people who think this is like a 9.5 out of 10. I can't seem to agree with that. I think they dive too much into the script. I like to balance out my opinion based off of a multitude of reasons, whether that's the script, the acting, the writing, just how fun and how enjoyable it is. And I just there's a lot of elements to this that I'm like, this is good. This is a good movie. This is a
Mhm.
great script. But this is what happens when you have a great script and maybe the uh, maybe the just
The
choice it's great on it's some things are better on paper than they are in execution.
That's
This is
true.
an
That's
example of
true.
one of those
That's true.
movies.
That's very true. That's very true. All right. So now I got a question for you, and it kind of expounds upon the hypocrisy of our society, but I don't know that any superhero movie has ever won an Oscar, which is, I mean, look, most of these movies are fictitious anyway, right? So to me, the notion that, oh, it's a superhero movie, we're not going to give it. Well, most of this stuff is made up. None of this stuff is true, unless you're talking about a period piece. So there's hypocrisy there. But if there were going to be a superhero movie that received an Oscar, give me your top 3 candidates of superhero movies that were Oscar worthy.
Logan is the number 1 movie. I will always say that movie deserved all the credit in the world for everything. Hugh Jackman should have won so many awards. The writing for that, the directing, the style, everything about that movie is impeccable. I have, and look, I don't have that as a 10 out of 10. Maybe that's a sneak preview at that, because 10 out of 10 is that exclusive of a club, but it's right outside of that. It's because I don't find it rewatchable. Most award-winning films I notice are not rewatchable. And that's, I think, something that the committee doesn't take into account, because I mean, films are meant to be rewatched. That's why we buy DVDs. That's why we buy VHSs. That's why we buy Blu-rays. That's why we buy streaming platforms, so we can rewatch some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
100% right.
we just go to the theaters once and go see it, and that would be
it. Yeah.
And I don't find Logan rewatchable. That's the only reason it's not a 10 out of 10 for me, because I can't just turn it on and go watch it. I have to go through an emotional roller coaster every single time I have to watch this movie. Logan's number 1. Number 2, I think it's Infinity War. And I love Endgame more, but I think it's Infinity War because for multiple reasons. You could have gone with the special effects. You could have gone with just Josh Brolin's portrayal as Thanos is maybe one of the most important villains in a movie ever. And you follow him the whole time. His dialogue, the writing in that movie is immaculate. It's incredible. But that's like peak for the for like superhero movies is the writing of that movie. And like I want to say Endgame is the third one. Are you saying Marvel or just superhero in general?
Superhero in general.
Then The Dark Knight, it actually would have been.
Yes.
The Dark Knight would have been the first one.
Yes.
The Dark Knight would have been the first one that I would have named. I was thinking Marvel, but The Dark Knight, there's so many things that could have won awards for. It could have won Best Film. It could have won with not special effects, but cinematography. It could have won for the writer's room, the directing, the acting from Heath Ledger. I mean, there are so many ways that movie could have won. That movie should have been what Oppenheimer did at the Oscars. Oppenheimer swept everything, and The Dark Knight should have done the same thing.
Agreed 100%. I couldn't. Let me tell you something. I love that movie so much. I made my mom watch it, and I didn't make her watch it, but I came home talking about it, and I talked about it for so long and how it should have won an Oscar that she finally was like, well, you know what? Just turn it on. And she watched it, but I agree. In my opinion, Dark Knight is number 1. Now, for me, I loved Infinity War, but for me, and this is just totally selfish, I gotta go Endgame, and I gotta go Endgame for that moment when
I want to be that selfish.
I am now. We're Scorpios, whatever, Jordan. You know what it is. But I gotta be that selfish. That moment where Thanos has kicked Thor and Iron Man and Cap's behind. And I thought it was great. I'm just gonna take a moment to give Endgame their flowers because it is it is in my top 10. It is in my heart. I love it. And damn it, I want to talk about it. But I think it's so fitting that in this scene it starts with those three because in the beginning in Avengers it started with those three on that plane when Cap when they meet Thor and Cap goes down. No, Iron Man jumps down and then Cap follows him and they all get into it or whatever. They all get into the fight. And it's fitting that this battle kind of the start of it starts with those three. And Thanos just kind of puts them down and Captain's mask is half off and his shield is damaged. And we see all of the soldiers and all of the armies of Thanos descend upon the earth. And Captain America looks at him and says, I can do this all day. And God dang it, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. And then right when we think that this might be the end, because it feels that way. It feels like Cap, oh my God. I'm looking at that literally getting scared. And I know this is a fictitious movie, but I'm caught up in the moment. And I'm like, holy shit, look at all these people. And you hear, hey, Cap, on your left. And you see Black Panther come through the portal. And you see all of the Marvel Universe come through that portal. Bro, every time I see that scene, I cannot describe it. It is an incredible feeling that comes over me like I can conquer the world. And for that, I got to say, it's got to be Endgame. And yeah, Logan would be my other one. Mm-hmm. So we agree. We agree on Batman Begins. We agree on Logan. Mm-hmm. And Infinity War was a great movie, and you're 100% right. But I didn't get that feeling that I did in that scene, bro. I did not get, like, everyone, like, if I'm having a real bad day, Jordan, I watch that scene, and some kind of way, it just gets better. I'm saying that is one of the best scenes I've ever seen. It is emotional. You just can't help it, right? It's got everything. Because when he comes through there and you see the cavalry, you see the posse, you see the homies arrive, and you're like, oh shit, it's about to go down. It's better than Monday Night Football. Let me get my popcorn. It's going down. Like, bro, I got to give it to them. Anyway, I'm sorry for the outburst, man. I just every time I think about that scene, it's one of the greatest, not only superhero movie scenes, but one of the greatest scenes that I can remember in modern day. It's one of my favorite scenes ever. Just in that moment, because so much is encapsulated. We struggled for 10 years to get here, and it was this one moment out of, what did he say, 420 million or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Oh man, and then the fact that he doesn't tell him, but when the moment arrives, he just looks at him and gives him that one finger, and he's like, I am Iron Man. Woo! Jordan, I'm just saying, man. Anyway, you got me out here, man. Even though I asked. Even though I asked the damn question. Oh man. Anyway, whatever. How do you follow that, right? So, Jordan, what are we doing next week? What are we?
We are going to be reviewing two movies. We're going to be reviewing Spider-Man 2 and Elektra. So we're going to be on opposite sides of the for this.
Oh wow! Can we do Elektra first? Can we do the downer first? We got to do Elektra. I know we're breaking protocol. Come on, man. I don't want to end on a.
We got to go in order. We got to go in order.
Oh God!
We got to do it.
All right. Well, then you're gonna look. I'm gonna need some liquor. Okay. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. I'm gonna need copious amount of alcohol to get through. Because you know what? You never know. Maybe I'll watch it and see something I didn't see before. So
exactly. You gotta think with an open mind.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that, man. But hey, Jordan, as always, man, this is so much fun. I'm so glad we're doing this. I love it. Tell these folks where they can find you. Um, yeah, man. Tell them about or tell them about yourself, Jordan. Tell these folks where they can find
Well, I'm a Scorpio, so there's that. Um, um, no, you can find me at Old Tegacy, ULTEGACY. We post all things sports. College football is on today, so I'm going to be writing about Penn State. Tomorrow we got football, MLB playoffs. The Dodgers just won the NL pennant yesterday.
Yeah, they did.
You got Mariners, Blue Jays in Game 6. And then we got NBA season coming up. NHL season's in full swing. So this is primetime sports, and we're going to be really active. But when it comes to movies and stuff, you can follow me on Letterboxd. You can follow me on Instagram. I'll usually post whatever movies and shows I'm going to be watching. One thing that I recently watched that I'm in the process of watching is the Monster Ed Gein biopic series on Netflix. Let me just say, I can watch horror. I can watch pretty much anything. I've watched the Saw franchise many times. I've watched the Terrifier movies many times. I can watch pretty much anything. And when I say this series is the single most disturbing film or show that I've ever seen, it really is. And probably because it's based off real events. So, yeah, that's what I'm in the process of watching. So, am I going to recommend that to most people? No, but it's really good. It is really good.
What's the name of this again? What's the name of it again?
Monster at something like an Ed Gein story or something like that. It's on Netflix. It is. I mean, people are making TikToks of it. The guy who is playing Ed Gein now. Ed Gein helped inspire films like Psycho, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like Silence of the Lambs, American Psycho. Really, a lot of horror movies can be stemmed off of Ed Gein. Ed Gein is a real life person who would kill people. He'd take their skin and make furniture of it. He would eat people. He'd do stuff with. He'd dig up dead bodies and do stuff with them. There's a real person, that a real person. So you are, and I have been waiting for probably like 10 years, ever since I found out about Ed Gein and who Ed Gein is and how he unintentionally inspired all these horror movies. I was like, why don't we have a movie on him or a show on him? And we're finally getting it. And in my opinion, the guy who plays Ed Gein should win some sort of award for this, because I've seen him in other things. He's an amazing actor and a very underrated actor that I don't think is in too much. But I hopefully after this he gets star power, because he's killing it, literally and figuratively, in the show.
Okay. That's okay. Wow. Okay. Well, you know what? If it's worse than Saw, no, thank you, because that is gritty, man. Oh my God. Your choice.
I've never had a show where I have to stop eating. Like Terrifier, I'll eat food, whatever. I've never had a movie like movies never have upset my stomach or anything. I was eating Chick-fil-A and watching this show, and I'm like, I'm gonna push this to the side and let this scene finish.
Oh,
and then
wow!
After the scene's finished, I'll continue eating. I've never had that happen before watching anything in my life.
Wow, that's saying a lot, sir. Because I can't watch Saw like that. I can't watch it. So wow, okay, that's interesting. Let me ask you a question, man. What up with your Penn State Nittany Lions, man? Like what's going on? You guys fired your coach. Like what up with that? What's going on?
Well, Drew Aller sucks, and James Franklin's gone. Hallelujah. I paid tuition to Penn State, so I can say that my money's going to him getting fired, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Use my money to go fire the coach because he sucked. He's great. He's a great recruiter. He sucks at everything else.
Wow.
He had a Denny's menu in front of him during games. Like, he really wasn't looking at anything. I don't know why he was out there. He's just a really good recruiter. That's it.
Wow. Okay. Well, you heard it here first, guys. All right. Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, that's where I'm not gonna, because we're friends, I'm not gonna bring up your Phillies and what happened. That would be mean. I'm not gonna do that because you are.
Oh, I knew it was gonna happen. I knew that was gonna happen.
I know you said it.
I didn't have any.
You said it.
Yeah, I was like, the Dodgers have always been my pick since before the season started. The Dodgers are going to win the World Series. They might sweep whoever they end up playing.
It looks that way. It looks that way. They have truly assembled quite a squad. So it looks that way. Well, hey man, we got to get back together and do this. So looking forward to it. Just warn you, gonna need copious amounts of liquor to get through Electra. So just saying.
I'm just warning you. It's spooky season. It's spooky season, man.
Oh wow, he's Freddy.
It's spooky season. Freddy.
He's Freddy.
I got a Michael Myers mask. I got this. I got a Cat in the hat for work. It's spooky season, man. Start watching all the horror movies. Start watching all this because I love it. Also, this fedora works for me for some reason. I put it on in Spirit Halloween, and I was like,
it's good look. It's good look.
I could wear this, but yeah, it's spooky season. That's all I want to say. Okay. Go celebrate Halloween.
Your birthday is November 4th, right? Is it November 4th?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
I remembered that. Way to go, team. Because I don't remember nobody's birthday. That's awesome. Yay, me. Go. All right. Mine is November 17th. Like I say, we're Scorpios. We're selfish. So that's probably why I remembered it. It's also in November. But yeah, man, you got a birthday coming up. So that is awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, guys, everybody who joined us in the chat, thank you guys. This was fun. Thank you for, trudging along for 2 hours or whatever you did, 3 hours, but we appreciate that. You could have been anywhere in the world. You chose to be here with us. We are eternally grateful and appreciative, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Again, want to thank God for sending you guys in my path and sending my friend Mr. Jordan here, and also Mr. Jack Spade and Mr. Eric Parker, who gave me my start in this business. You guys have an amazing week, and we will see you next week. Good night or good day, everybody. It's not nighttime. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.
Lights, camera, action is going down for my ATL movies when we run this town. With your host T. Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classics, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. Every frame we capture is the real deal. Talking premieres where the stars align.